right, shalom, y'all. We back on the San Antonio Riverwalk in the lesson. Let's make sure we got this going. Cool. White Jesus has seen better days. What? It's cool. Whatever. There. All right. Man. Slide here, y'all. Alright, cool. So we're going to start this off by saying, Call Halal Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. My name is Haya El. I'm back on the San Antonio Riverwalk again another lesson, right? To let blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians know that we are God's chosen people, the Israelites. And to let the nations know their judgments. And to answer any questions that any of our people might have in regards to the Bible that are within my ability to answer. If not, I'll refer to one of my elders, right? But today's lesson is going to be called Division and Separation. Because in light of all the things going on the earth today, it's important that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians and the scattered diaspora abroad understand that we are to separate from these heathen. Now, some of our people might be asking, well, if I'm to separate, how do I do that? Where do I go? Are you talking about a physical separation? Are you talking about a metaphorical or metaphysical separation? What are you talking about? Right? Because when we tell our people to come out of the ways of our oppressors, come out of the ways of Sodom and Egypt, what do we mean? Right? And why should they separate? But we're going to go into some of that today. Right? And we're not going to do an intro like we normally do. I know some of y'all don't really keep track of what I do with my lessons, but for those of you who do, you know, most of my, the first 6 scriptures usually are part of essentially an introduction into the lesson. Today we're going to get right into it because it's a heavier lesson, right? So let's go ahead and grab the first bit of scripture. So we're going to go ahead and hit up Sirach 24 and 7 through 12. Right? Because it's very important that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians understand that the time to separate from their oppressor is right now, not later. We're going to read down to 12. So we're going to start at 7 and we're going to read to 12, right? Because it is very important, again, that in light of the things going on the earth today, that we realize that the time to separate is now, not yesterday, right? Most of our people don't even realize they never should have conjoined themselves onto their heathen oppressors. All right? How you doing? Got time for the Bible today?
Sorry.
No, you quite all right. You too, if you're an Israelite. This is Sirach, chapter 24 and verse 7. With all these I sought rest, and in whose inheritance shall I abide? So this is talking about wisdom, right? If you go to the top of the chapter, it says, Wisdom shall praise herself and shall glory in the midst of her people. In the congregation of the Most High shall she open her mouth and triumph before his power. So this is talking about wisdom, right? And this rhetorical question that's being asked is essentially, where should wisdom dwell, right? In this metaphor, wisdom is passing through different peoples, nations, and things. And with her passing, she needs a place to rest. And this metaphorical question addresses just that. Where should wisdom lay her head, right? This is Sirach 24 and 7. With all these I sought rest, and in whose inheritance shall I abide? So the creator of all things gave me a commandment, and he that made me caused my tabernacle to rest, and said, Let thy dwelling be in Jacob, and thine inheritance in Israel. So the inheritance of the Most High God are the Israelites. We are his people. And just as we are God's people, God has bestowed wisdom on us, right? He's given us the wisdom of the scriptures, the laws, statutes, and commandments, right? Not only has he given us the law, statutes, and commandments, but he has also bestowed his judgment upon us, which is why when we break his commandments, whether they be the universal laws or the laws found in the Bible. I mean, even the universal laws are in the Bible, like murder, rape, pedophilia, all that stuff. No one's supposed to be doing those things. Child sacrifice. But the lesser nations don't incur the wrath of the Most High God until their iniquity is at a full point, and then they have an overwhelming judgment. We are judged every step of the way, right? So we are God's chosen people, and we have a special place, not just in the world, but in the eyes of the Most High God. He has respect unto the children of Israel, as it says in Exodus 2:25. Verse 8, so the creator of all things gave me a commandment, and he that made me caused my tabernacle to rest, and said, let thy dwelling be in Jacob, and thine inheritance in Israel. He created me from the beginning before the world, and I shall never fail. In the holy tabernacle I served before him, and so was I established in Zion. Likewise in the beloved city he gave me rest, and in Jerusalem was my power. And I took root in an honorable people, even in the portion of the Lord's inheritance. So, wisdom from the Most High God has been given unto the nation of Israel. Starting with Judah, all the way down to Issachar, all 12 tribes. Right? That cannot be said for these other nations. Now, that is one reason why you should separate. Because if the Most High God has given us wisdom, especially of the spiritual sort, for what reason should you seek after the heathen to receive spiritual knowledge, when the Most High God has only given that knowledge to his children? Right? Got time for the Bible today?
Always.
Always? What tribe you go back to in the Bible, do you know?
Nope.
Is your father a so-called white man? Yeah. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, we God's chosen people. If you happen to be Native Hispanic, sister, you a princess, all right? Are you Mexican? You come from the tribe of Issachar. Issachar means he who is hired. Why do you think the Mexican people are the hardest workers on the planet? God put that in your people. You special, sister. All right? If you got time, come back and see me. I love to talk to you. All right? Verse 10, in the holy tabernacle I served before him, and so was I established in Zion. Now, I reread that verse for a reason. The reason why a black, Hispanic, or Native American man can tell you who you are, according to the Bible, is because the wisdom from the Most High God has been given only to us. See, that's why you could go sit in a white man's church for 40 years, and he'll never even tell you what tribe you come from. Hell, he'll never even bring it up. And he'll tell you that God loves everybody, and everybody has equal access to the Bible. Not understanding that this is a sealed book. Right? Just as it says in Daniel 12. I believe it also says it in Isaiah 29. Right? Now that man who answered that he believed in the Bible, I wasn't talking to him, I was talking to the sister. But he got himself out of the equation, which is good, because I wasn't trying to talk to him. But, see, a lot of these heathen walking around, they purport or state to be believers of the Bible. But if you ask them what tribe they come from, they say they don't know. And that's because no one understands this book but the Israelites. Right? I'm going to read this quick bit in Isaiah 29. Right? Because it's very important that we understand that only the Israelites have the knowledge of the Most High God. Okay, and it goes along with the theme of wisdom only being for the Israelites from the Most High God. This is Isaiah chapter 29 and verse 9. Stay yourselves and wonder. Cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. So the Most High God has closed the eyes of the people, not just the Israelites. Now, this is directed at the Israelites, but you have to understand that if you are in the position of ignorance in regards to the scriptures, you're in the same position that all these heathen nations are already in. Because the Most High God never gave these judgments or the wisdom of the statutes and commandments to them. which means they are in a position of ignorance, right? The similitude used here is someone having closed eyes, someone who's blind to the wisdom of the scriptures, right? So you have to understand the Most High God has to open your understanding or open your eyes and your ears so you can see these words and understand them when you read them, or hear these words when you're being taught and understand them. Either way, the understanding and the wisdom comes from the Lord, right? The prophets and your rulers, the seers hath he covered, and the vision of all is become unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, read this, I pray. And he said, I cannot, for it is sealed. So we have a direct affirmation in the Bible that this book can't be understood just by any old body. Hence why I'm saying, if you're wishing to increase in knowledge and serve God in the capacity that he ordered the Israelites to serve him in, you have to go to an Israelite in order to learn how to do so. Just as I went to an Israelite, just as my forefathers went to Israelites who were their elders. And those who had no elders had the Most High God dispatching his angels to give them understanding. Hence why you read about figures like Ezra, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Zechariah. All these men at one given time or another were visited by angels or were given direct understanding from the Most High God through the Spirit. So the Most High God is holding true to his promise that he's only reserving this wisdom for the Israelites and no one else. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned, saying, read this, I pray. And he said, I am not learned. Wherefore the Lord said, forasmuch as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precepts of men. And that's exactly what you learn in the church. See, everybody talks about fearing God, but when you ask them, how do I fear God? All of a sudden, you get an assortment of answers. Some people say, make sure you just pray and welcome Jesus into your heart. Others say, make sure you go to church and you tithe, give to charity. Every once and again, you'll have somebody say, keep the 10 Commandments. Very seldom will you say only the Israelites were given this right to even understand this wisdom in this book and to keep all 613 commandments as best you can. Very rarely do you hear that. Y'all got time for Bible today? A couple minutes? All right, thou sayest.
Thank you.
Of course. See, I wouldn't be a man of God if I didn't reach out to my brothers and sisters, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, to let them know that they are God's chosen. And there's a draft coming in America. I'd advise not to join the army or the military, because you're going to be fighting against the Messiah when he returns in World War III. See, I say this every week, and it's easy to say you don't have time for the Bible. But when there's chaos and you realize all the answers to what's going on is in the Bible, all of a sudden you have all the time in the world. But at that point, it's going to be too late. So that's why if you read the book of Amos chapter 8, verse 11, it lets you know the famine of the word is very real and it's very close. But let's continue on with this lesson, right? So we see directly in the book of Isaiah 29 that the Bible is a sealed book. It is not a book easily understood. And that understanding has to come from the Most High. And unless the Most High God opens up your understanding, you will not understand the precepts in this book. You will not be able to deduce what is prophetically being stated in the Bible. When it mentions a beast rising out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, what does that mean? Or when you see the dream in Daniel chapter 2, with the statue of various materials representing different kingdoms and different time periods, all the way down to the feet made of clay and iron with the 10 toes. What does all that mean? And then the rock coming out that was made without hands, that strikes the toes and the feet, toppling the statue and destroying it. And that stone establishing the foundation of a new kingdom. What does all that mean? But see, the men of the Lord, we've been given the understanding to be able to teach these things. quite matter of factly. But that doesn't mean because we can teach it, it is easily understood. Because just as our understanding had to be open, so must those who aim to listen to us. Now, what does Mark 4 say? Right? The sower soweth the word, but Satan cometh immediately. That's why you have all these damn car alarms going on. And I'm sure it's somebody who hears me turning their shit on and off. But see, the reality is, it ain't gonna stop this word. Because I'm not just one man. I'm one of many. And this is one corner of many, which the men of the Lord occupy every Saturday, every day for that matter, to dispense this word. Right? But we see that the Bible in and of itself is a sealed book, and it is not easily understood. So with that being said, let's continue on, because that is but one reason for us to separate from our heathen adversaries who've tried to misappropriate this book to say that God loves everybody, and he doesn't. Right? But let's go ahead and roll over to Sirach 33 and 10 through 15. I see a brother down there. He was looking up back from beneath the bridge. Hope he walks around this way, but if he don't, he don't. So. Nah, he ain't coming this way. That sucks. This is Sirach, chapter 33 and verse 10. And all men are from the ground. And Adam was created of earth. In much knowledge the Lord hath divided them, and made their ways diverse. Some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified and set near himself. So some of the people on the earth, the Most High God has taken a special liking to, and he's drawn them near unto himself. But what about the other people? Right? Because again, we're always told God loves everybody. And if God loves everybody and wanted to be near everyone, this wouldn't say some, it would say all men have been drawn near unto the Lord by his hand. But it doesn't say that, or any semblance of that. It says some. And it also says the Most High God created men in diverse ways. He created different groups, different races of people. How about the people the Most High God didn't draw near unto himself? Let's see what it says about them. Some hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified and set near himself. But some of them hath he cursed and brought low, and turned out of their places. So some of the people the Most High God has cursed. Some of them he has brought low, and some of them he has turned out of their places. So when you look at, say, the children of Edom, the so-called white men on the planet, these are a people that the Most High God has set low. These are a people that he has turned out of their place because they go from land to land, destroying the earth, destroying the people, and destroying themselves. And these are cursed people because these are the very same people the judgment of the Most High God is going to descend upon and destroy entirely. Right? As a matter of fact, I believe in the book of Ezekiel, it talks about the nation of Edom literally being the people of the Most High God's curse. Right? We're going to go ahead and grab that after this brother departs. You got time for the Bible, brother? A couple minutes? That's sad, brother. If I was a big booty white woman, I know you'd stop. See, again, I keep saying, when misfortune befalls our people, all of a sudden they want the black community to come together like a damn Megazord or Voltron. They want to just say Black Caucus assemble. Not understanding the time to assemble is right now. As it says in Zephaniah 2:1, gather together, O ye nation not desired. And it talks about us gathering before the decree of the Most High God bringing forth. That decree being his final judgment. See, the reality is many of our people, they're going to find themselves all alone during Jacob's trouble. See, most of our people don't even realize most of these folks who are really Trump tards, people who are really, really, really like zealous about getting Trump in office, this coming fall is going to be quite a tense time to be in America. And being alone is not going to be ideal, right? Being alone is going to leave you vulnerable in ways that you haven't had to consider in a couple of decades. Dare I say in a couple hundred years. See, most of our people don't know what it's like to have the white man with torches and guns walking through a city, kicking in doors, and seeing if you're one of his own or not, and seeing if you're on his side or not. Because just because you're a so-called white man don't mean you're going to be spared from the ire of these people, meaning to usurp power from their government. Right? But let's get the book I said I was going to grab. I turned to Psalms 79. I love Psalm 79. But let me get this real quick. In Ezekiel, I believe 25. Actually, is it 25 or is it 30? Slovakia. If you ever get a chance to read Ezekiel 32, you should, right? Because it talks about all the heathen nations getting their just due. All right? You know what? I'm just going to get on my phone. Man, I thought it was in Ezekiel. Right? But we'll get it. Damn, it's Isaiah 34. Damn. I always confuse it. Right? This is Isaiah, chapter 34 and 5. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea and upon the people of my curse to judgment. So you have the Edomites, who are a cursed people. And the Most High God's glittering sword of judgment is going to come down upon that very same people and eliminate them from the planet. You got time for the Bible, brother? Thou sayest, right? Because one of the things we're trying to let people know is everybody in this book isn't blessed of God. God didn't choose everybody. God chose blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, the real Israelites. Now in the times that we're currently in, when you want to know what you should and shouldn't do, considering that America just instituted a draft for everybody from the age of 18 to 29, and see, most people don't realize, just like in World War II, America's going to extend that age all the way up to 70. But see, I say this about blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians all the time. We're often a day late and a dollar short. And we won't consider this matter until it's too late. And at that time, you're going to have a lot of Israelites trying to get in a few works, trying to get the understanding of the scriptures, and it's going to be far too late, and there aren't going to be any teachers to break it all down for them. See, when that brother walked by, he gave a little thumbs up. See, our people don't realize if you know you're an Israelite, that's only the door. You need to learn how to appease your God, how to serve him. See, many of our people say they fear God and they believe in him, but if you ask them, how do you serve him, all of a sudden you get a myriad of answers. When God outlined it in the Bible, repetitiously, in fact, in both Old, New, and apocryphal text. Right? When I say Old and New, I mean Old Testament and New Testament, right? But let's get this one more time. This is Sirach, chapter 33 and 10. And all men are from the ground, and Adam was created of earth. And much knowledge the Lord hath divided them, and made their ways diverse. Some of them hath he blessed and exalted, and some of them hath he sanctified and set near himself. But some of them hath he cursed and brought low, and turned out of their places. As the clay is in the potter's hand to fashion it at his pleasure, so man is in the hand of him that made him, to render to them as liketh him best. So in short, this is saying, look, God made one group of people to be loved and set near himself, and another group of people God made to be cursed and destroyed. But God does what he wants to do because he's the master, he's the potter, right? Verse 14, good is set against evil, and life against death. So is the godly against the sinner, and the sinner against the godly. So look upon all the works of the Most High God, and there are two and two, one against another. And this is what we're trying to let our people know. How are you to join yourself unto those that the Most High God separated you from? As it says in Amos chapter 3, can two walk together except they be agreed? But many of our people don't consider these things, and they join themselves unto their enemies, only to be exploited and betrayed, and cry out to God in anguish, when God told you from the very beginning to never trust your enemy, to separate yourself from those that you have no business joining yourself onto. And this is a lesson, once again, that blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians learned far too late, as they join themselves onto the people who've been murdering and enslaving them for 500 years. And also walk up and down stolen land as if we all belong here, which I find even more hilarious. All right? So we see even in the Bible, it acknowledges that you have good set against evil. You have a blessed group of people that God loves, and you have people that God don't care much about. But let's go on to further substantiate why our people should be separate, right? Let's go to Romans 9 and 6 through 8. Because first, let's establish that everyone can't be a child of God, right? Got time for the Bible, Elder? All right, have a good one, Elder. I keep saying it, man. Our people are going to be surprised when they start going door to door. I saw a brother from GMS just this week. He posted a video. Right across from where he lives, Esau conducting drills, going in heavy into a house. They conducting tests on doing entry into residential areas. See, most blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, y'all are thinking that you're going to keep living in America and everything's going to be fine, just like it was for your father and his father. Not even acknowledging, if you go back far enough on that end, you run into nothing but slavery and misery from your most hated enemy, the white man. But most of our people have fooled themselves into the delusion, thinking that this place is going to be the same as it always was. And you're going to grow up here, and your children are going to grow up here, and your children's children. Not understanding this is the last generation. America's about to be destroyed. This is the twilight of the kingdom of the so-called white man here in America, also called the daughter of Babylon in the Bible. See, that's why the Most High God is doing what he's always done. Before a major transition takes place, he's sending his prophets out to the highways and byways to let you know what time it is. But just like our people turn their shoulder, stop their ears, and close their eyes to the prophets of old, our people are doing the very same thing today. And they're going to pay for it. They're going to pay with their lives. Right? This is Romans chapter 9 and verse 6. Not as though the word of God hath taken none effect, for they are not all Israel, which are of Israel. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children, but in Isaac shall thy seed be called. So what seed line came out of Isaac that was chosen? Well, we all know it was the seed line of Jacob. the father of the 12 patriarchs of the Israelites. Jacob, whose name was changed to Israel, right? And we know Esau was rejected, right? Esau was rejected, and he sought to kill his brother because of the blessing, right? We also know Esau was given the blessing of the sword. He was also prophesied of by Isaac to live by the sword. And as we know, those who live by the sword shall die by the sword. You see why that metaphor or that similitude is used of the Most High God's sword being bathed in heaven to come down upon a cursed people, the cursed people of Edom or Idumea. See, these metaphors are not being used flagrantly. See, if you understand what's going on in the Bible, you will see that all of these things harmonize and they match right up with one another, right? But this is Romans 9 and 6. Not as though the word of God had taken on effect. For they are not all Israel, which are of Israel. Neither because they are the seed of Abraham are they all children. But in Isaac shall thy seed be called. That is, they which are the children of the flesh, these are not the children of God, but the children of the promise are counted for the seed. So the children of Jacob, who came through Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, are counted as the promised seed. They are who you would call the children of God. Everyone else, according to Romans here, are not the children of God. See, that's why we keep trying to tell our people, now is the time for you to realize who you are and come back to your heritage. Right? Now, of course, I could continue reading down to Romans 9, but that's not part of my lesson. Shit. Piece of my Bible broke off. Right? But let's continue on, because now we see that everyone is not a child of God. Right? So now that we know that everyone isn't a child of God, let's go to Deuteronomy 4 and 5 through 6, where we see the wisdom of the Most High God hath been given unto a certain people, and that wisdom is that people's understanding in the sight of all the nations of the earth. Right? This is Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 5. Behold, I have taught you statutes and judgments, even as the Lord my God commanded me, that ye should do so in the land whither ye go to possess it. Keep therefore and do them, for this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations, which shall hear all these statutes, and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people. So, the Most High God has only given the wisdom to the Israelites. That's why we can pick up this Bible, and we can actually understand it. When you read John 3 and 16, we don't just say, oh yeah, God loves everybody. We search out the scriptures and we study to show ourselves approved. And as a result, we quickly see that there's a reference in John 3 and 14, pointing to the wilderness where Moses had to lift up a bronze serpent. And Yahushai, or the man that the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, is juxtaposed with that bronze serpent by way of the reason why he must be lifted up as well. And that bronze serpent was only lifted up for the Israelites. So if Christ is lifted up for the same reason that bronze serpent was lifted up in Numbers 21, then you quickly see that Christ came and died only for the salvation of the Israelites and no one else. Right? How you doing, brother? You doing all right today?
Yeah. How about you?
I'm doing great, man. I love preaching God's word.
That's great.
Yeah. So you believe in the Bible? Okay. What tribe you come from in the Bible, man?
I mean, I believe in a lot of things,
Okay.
but not just the Bible.
What all do you believe in?
Well, I believe in myself. I believe in God.
Okay.
I just, I don't want to say exactly everything that I, researched and studied myself, but, questioning things
Okay.
Still, but as far as reality, consciousness of God, I feel like I'm doing pretty good. Stay away from drugs.
Okay, that's good. That's very good.
Eat, sleep,
Mhm.
eat right. You know, have good thoughts.
Okay. Well, if you, I just want you to consider some things, right? I'm not going to tell you just to believe what I say, right? But when you talk about the Bible, who is the Bible written for and to?
I believe man.
Okay.
Humanity.
Now, can I read a few things to you to show you that God only wrote this Bible to the Israelites? Right? Because I have a question, right? Salvation is spoken of in the Bible, right? Salvation needs to be delivered or saved. Does everybody need to be saved? Or do the people on this sign, blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, need to be delivered and saved?
I feel like when we, honestly, this is going to be like half and half.
Half and half? Okay.
Like, I feel like if we save ourselves, help ourselves, our reality starts to shape us better. And I mean, I'm only saying this because I grew up Catholic.
Okay.
My family turned Christian. You know, they didn't believe me when I said I believe in God, and I just don't go to church all the time in my teenager years. I always felt like I had something connected with divine. So,
Okay.
you know.
Okay. Well, let me read this to you real quick. Because I'm going to show you that the only people that the Most High God even wants picking up this book are the Israelites. Right? And I'm going to read something out of the letters of Paul. I'm going to read the book of Romans, chapter 3, and verse 1 through 2. All right? This is Romans, chapter 3, and verse 1. What advantage then hath the Jew? Or what profit is there of circumcision? Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God. What's an oracle?
Someone who can foresee things.
Okay. So an oracle is a spoken word, or something that is dictated or professed, right? So the oracles of God are contained in the Bible, the things that God gave unto his angels and unto his prophets to give unto the people of Israel. That's all in this book. Paul is saying that one of the advantages of being a Jew is that the oracles of God belong to us, right? Now, the church is going to tell you that God came for all nations, right? He loves everybody. Let me show you that that's not true.
Are you Jewish?
I'm not Jewish, no. I'm actually what you would call a real Jew, right? Are you aware of how the Jewish people got to the land of Israel today? So in 1948, there was something called the Balfour Declaration. Those white people over in Israel today came from Poland, right? They came from Eastern Europe. And they moved by way of that declaration in 1948 that was actually basically written in 1921 by Jacob Rothschild. In 1948, they basically brought that dream to fruition where they moved their people into the land and they declared themselves the Jews, right? So I'm going to go to Amos chapter 3, right? Because, brother, I want to tell you, are you so-called Mexican? Your father? Cool. So the Mexican man is from the tribe of Issachar in the Bible. Issachar means he who is hired. Who are the hardest working people on the planet? Mexicans, hands down. Not even a damn contest. I hate working with y'all, by the way, because you make me look bad. Every time. And you don't even try. You know it's true, right? Y'all work 14 hours, don't even break a sweat. But here's the thing. But like, what do you like to do for fun, aside from skate? How y'all doing today? And just know, y'all Israelites, all right? Y'all special. Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, we the people of the book. All right? See?
Hey.
But what do you like to do for fun outside of skate?
Enjoy a relaxation day with my kids and swimming, you know, just do some fun family stuff.
Okay. Do you work on cars or anything?
Yeah, I had a car. I worked on it. Actually had it going, and crazy story. I had an alternator. The bolt was like jammed and stuck, and hasn't taken off. And I literally need like Divine's help. Literally, it was just like nothing was taking it off. And I don't know what was going on, but I was struggling. It was for my family, and I had the alternator by the grace of God. had family and friends to help me get it. It was like $375. We got it for like $98.
Yeah.
Got it. Couldn't take the boat off for 2 weeks.
Mm.
I heard something in my head said, like, cause my dad bought me the titanium drill bits, the ones that kind of catch on.
Mm.
Well, I did them all, and I was like trying to do it and everything, and it was like in a tight spot. He bought me a drill and everything. It was about on the second week, I got the titanium bit. Well, I had them all like out. I was like, man, dude, I was like trying to know what to do, you know. It was like I was days ago, and I just heard a little voice in my head said, "This is the one."
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like the middle size one.
Mm.
And I was so out of it. I was playing around. I was like, "This is the one." And I was all like, you know, I like to play jokes. Mimic like impersonation of people. So
You're being
don't
dramatic.
mind me. Yeah, I was just being silly. And I was like, "This is the one, right?" And I was by myself, so I was like, "All right." And I just went. And I heard a voice in my head. You know what I mean? And I believed it.
Mm.
And I mean, what else can I had everything else couldn't help me. So I went to the thing.
Yeah. And they hit it.
It fucking broke it.
Mm.
I mean, for a couple of days, I didn't know what happened, but because the threading on the the screw was hole was like this long, so the threading on the end. So when I did that, I was like, wait, whoa. Does that mean I can just pull it?
Mm.
So I took off the top bolt and showed it.
Just slid right out.
But it was stuck because the end was stuck.
Mm.
So I tried that motherfucker out. It was the one.
And how many hours did it take you? Probably about 20, 30, 40 hours, right?
2
You
weeks,
worked
bro.
until you
2
got it
weeks.
done.
And my wife was like, I'm done with it. Like, you ain't gonna fix it. You should have paid for a mechanic and this and that. And I was like,
But here's the
I
thing.
came in, I was so tired. I came in, I was like, I did it.
Yeah.
And she was like asleep. I did it.
Mhm.
I'm sorry, I fixed it.
Yeah.
And I told her the story. And you're the only person I told the story to. But, you know, I believe that, you know, spirit or ancestor or, you know, my angel or divine was there, just, you know, seeing my struggle and knowing that, I mean, I don't even have that car.
Mm.
I got it impounded. But man, dude, and then at that time I figured out, I made my own little fuse out of copper, and I could only turn the car on. I could take it off and just, the car won't even turn on. Nobody even know how to turn it on until they find out that it was me. So, you know, that car was kind of special to me, and I got pulled over down Valley Day, just took it, and I haven't got it since, so I've been praying.
Damn. So it's sitting in a lot somewhere. Damn, huh? Yeah, make sure you get that back. They'll auction that car off, man.
I know, man. So I've been trying to do that, but I got a job.
All praises,
The Lord,
man.
praise the Lord, I got a job. I'm a tattoo artist.
Okay. Okay.
So, you know, I like skating on the free time, but I draw. You know, so I'm already having fun as well in my normal life. You know, so, you know, I just take my time when I've been working on myself. You know, staying away from drugs and I'll talk to my mom and shit, but, you know, try to do my best to stay close to the Lord, you know.
Okay. Well, let me tell you this, right? It's not just hard work that's tied to the Mexican people, or Issachar. Issachar in the Bible is prophesied to be a strong ass or a donkey. What's the unofficial animal for Mexico? The burro, right? And what's the picture of the burro? You have the donkey with the saddle on it and the two loads on each side. The Bible says Issachar is prophesied to be a strong ass, crouching down between two burdens. Not to mention, y'all were prophesied to be a people of the times and the signs, to read stars. What did the Aztec people create that everybody marvels at to this day? The calendar. Y'all were the tribe that we would look to for direction when God was giving us directions to go places.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I want to just give this to you because I know you ain't got all the time in the
you're
world.
good. Yeah, appreciate it.
But I want to show you, because you might say, you know what, that's not enough. How do you know that black people are Israelites? How do you know Mexican people are Israelites? Or indigenous people throughout South and North America? How do you know that? I'm going to read a few things to you. Right? This is Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, and to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. So whoever the real Israelites are, if we don't keep God's commandments, we would be under curses. Let's read some of them. Verse 46, and they shall be upon thee for a sign and for a wonder, and upon thy seed forever, because thou servedest not the Lord thy God with joyfulness and with gladness of heart for the abundance of all things. So the curses will be upon these people for a sign. What do you do at a sign? Whatever it tells you to do, whether it's slow down, go, stop. You do what the sign says. So whoever the curses are on, that's who the Israelites are. Therefore shalt thou serve thine enemies, which the Lord shall send against thee, in hunger, and in thirst, and in nakedness, and in want of all things. When you're hungry, who do you have to buy your food from?
The grocery store.
Who owns the grocery store?
The white man.
The white man. Or someone else, but not your people, not my people. Right? When you want clothes, who do you have to go to for materials? Likewise, the white man. Whatever you need, even to educate your children, you have to go to your enemy. The people who are on this land is called Texas. But ain't this Mexico? It's supposed to be. How about Arizona, California? How about Colorado? Y'all's land used to extend all the way into the about the Midwest, all the way to the western coast of the United States. But yet, y'all have been pushed down into Mexico. And you're still going to the white man in one of all things. Who's the president of Mexico right now? A white Jewish woman. Did you know over 60 people had to die for her to be the running candidate to be president of Mexico? Yeah.
So what are you trying to do? You trying to give a message out for what?
I'm trying to let blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians know our true history and our true heritage. Because you were never called a Mexican. The people who called you Mexican were the Spanish, right? Before the Spanish came, you weren't even called the Aztec, right? You called yourself the Azteca. That's not Aztec, that's completely different. I wasn't called black. Nobody on this sign had the name of whatever the white man called them. Once upon a time, y'all used to speak a language called Nahuatl, right? And that language is a broken dialect of Hebrew, right? The Puerto Ricans or the Taino Indians, they spoke a broken dialect of Hebrew. That's why when the white man first came here, he came with Hebrew interpreters. One that you could look up named Luis de Torres, right? I'm telling you all this, brother, to let you know, this book is for you, for the Israelites. I walked away from this book and I became an atheist until I actually heard the real truth in this book. Because when you hear the real truth in this book and you realize why our people are being murdered in the streets, did you know that slavery is even in the Bible? I'm gonna read it to you. It's right here. Oh, of course, man. What's your name? Toby. I'm Haya L, man. I shake hands right here, brother. All right, but brother, I'm out here every Saturday from about 5:30 to 10 p.m. If you got questions about your real history, come learn, man. I'm out here for you. All right, brother. Of course. All praise to the Most High God. All right. This is Deuteronomy. Chapter 7 and verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself above all people that are upon the face of the earth. See, I knew Brother Toby down there, he was listening because he didn't leave the area and he was skating. See, that's why brothers have to be out here teaching, man. And you teach even when it looks like nobody's around. Somebody's listening. It's not up to you who hears you. It's up to the Most High God. I've had people come up to me and say they heard me 2-3 blocks away. I don't even think my voice carries that far, but apparently it does. So if somebody 2 to 3 blocks away from me around corners can hear me, what business do I have speaking softly when the Most High God is bringing the lost sheep from all directions? They don't all come at once. And they don't all form a circle and just sit down nice and orderly. Very rarely do people just come in mass. Very rarely. But the lost sheep do come. And when they arrive, I'm ready to teach. That's why I'm telling all brothers and sisters to occupy your office and endure unto the end. And I'm only telling you that because that's what I'm told in the book, out of the Bible. Right? The Most High God is telling us to endure unto the end. Now, it's a shame the brother couldn't stay for more. But Lord willing, we planted a few seeds today. When I say we, I mean me and the Holy Spirit. All right? Because now this brother knows this book is only for him. It ain't for everybody. God don't love everybody. He's not with everybody. That's why we have to let blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians know this Bible is only written for them. See, and I always ask the question rhetorically. To the people who rape, rob, and enslave people and walk up and down stolen land, how can you call upon the same God of the people that you victimized to bless you, to protect you? So that's food for thought. But more times than not, the white man doesn't consider these things because he's naturally wicked. Right? But we're going to go ahead and get back to the lesson. We just got a sister walking up. See if she can stop. Right? Because we out here for our people. We don't just teach blindly. You got time for the Bible today? A couple minutes?
No, thank you.
No?
Have a good day.
Thou sayest, only if you're an Israelite. If you're a so-called white woman, I hope you have the worst day of your life. Right? Either way, let's go to Matthew 10 and 1 through 7. Right? Because the gospel was sent unto the Israelites. See, and that's one thing I always make readily clear to my enemies. Right? If you happen to be a so-called heathen, right? I don't care what nation you're from, I hope you're having the worst day of your entire existence. That's what I hope. Because that's what you deserve. Because our people have had nothing but the worst days of our lives for the last 500 years. Our lives are so fraught with peril. Our lives are so decorated with hindrances, impedances, obstacles, that we don't even know what it's like to know one another earnestly. I don't know what it's like to know my brother and sister, having come from a whole household, having had hold of their heritage their entire lives. I know my people in pieces, in fragments of themselves, raised in single-parent homes, writing pen pal letters to their dad in the pen, right? That's how I know my people. I know my people being raised in the projects and in the slums, and the barrios and favelas. That's how I know my people. I know my people while they have a tenuous grasp of Christianity that says God loves everybody. That's how I know my people. My people are out of their minds, smitten with madness. That's why I can, in good faith, wish any of my enemies a good day. Because until you've gone through what we've gone through, I hope you have the worst existence on the planet. Right? But anyway, this is Matthew chapter 10 and verse 1. And when he called unto his 12 disciples, he gave them power against unclean spirits to cast them out and to heal all manner of sickness and all manner of disease. Now the names of the 12 apostles are these. The first, Simon, who is called Peter, and Andrew his brother James, and James the son of Zebedee, and John his brother, Philip and Bartholomew, Thomas and Matthew the publican, James the son of Alphaeus, and Lebbaeus, whose surname was Thaddeus, Simon the Canaanite, and Judas Iscariot, who also betrayed him. These 12 Yahushua sent forth, and commanded them, saying, Go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. Got time for the Bible, brother? Thou says, right? Because we're out here to let blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the real Israelites, know that the gospel is only for you. And hell is coming upon the planet in short order. See, most of our people, again, they don't understand where they live and what's coming their way. So they say, no thank you, not understanding this knowledge is indispensable. Y'all got time for the Bible today, a couple minutes? All right, thou sayest, brother. See, again, when the U.S. military come to your door talking about, hey, what about that draft? A lot of our people are going to be like, God, come on, help me now. Help me out this jam, God. See, that's why that enemy is going to come in like a flood, because they got to sweep your house, make sure you ain't got no weapons. They got to arrest all eligible, combatants for the war. They got to make sure they take you in and forcefully conscript you into military service. See, that's why you're going to be looking in that day for that standard to be lifted up against your enemies. And in Hebrew, that word for standard means escape. A way to escape is going to be lifted up for those who keep God's commandments and have returned unto their heritage. But to those of you who've made nothing but excuses, whatever happens to you happens. Right? But we see that the apostles were commissioned by Yahushua himself to go only to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And at that time, they were even ordered to not even go to the northern kingdom. The ways of the Samaritans. See, the white man has done such a great job at brainwashing our people. When you ask them what a Samaritan is, a lot of times, our people think a Samaritan is just somebody who does good and is a stranger. And you call them a good Samaritan. See, our people don't even understand that that Samaritan that's spoken of in the Bible was an Israelite from the northern kingdom, a remnant in that land, who despite not having any dealings with their southern kingdom brethren, still stopped to do good to their southern kingdom brother. But see, most of our people are brainwashed and they don't even understand what's going on. That's why we do our damnedest to try to wake our people up, but we can only call to them. I can't force my brothers and sisters to listen. See, that's the most sorrowful part about doing this work. More times than not, our people, they turn their shoulder to the word of God, not understanding it's to their own destruction. Right? This is Matthew 10:6. But go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. So we're supposed to be telling our people that the kingdom of heaven is very close. It's at hand. But see, before the kingdom of heaven arrives, all these other kingdoms have to be thrown down in the dirt. See, and that's why we're trying to tell our people, you need to separate. Because if you call yourselves joined unto these respective kingdoms that we currently reside in, then you're going to be thrown down right with them. And that's something that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians often don't take too kindly to. Because you're telling them to separate from the thing that they've come to depend on the most. And that is the so-called white man. Right? But let's go ahead and go to Acts 1:6-7. Because I want to illustrate that even after the death of Yahushua and his resurrection, our people knew very damn well that salvation was only for the Israelites. And you see, in a very short pericope of scriptures, you see a couple of things directly stated that infer or directly indicate that they knew that the kingdom to come was for the Israelites, right? So let's go ahead and get there. This is Acts chapter 1 and verse 5. Or Salakia, verse 6. When they therefore were come together, they asked of him, saying, Lord, wilt thou at this time restore again the kingdom of Israel? So Yahushua, in the brief time that he was with the disciples and was seen of men post his resurrection, they asked of him, is now the time that you're going to restore the kingdom of Israel? Is now the time that we're going to be set free out of our captivity and set back on high? See, even in those days, they believed that the time of their redemption was very close. See, they thought that it was at exactly that time, not understanding they were about to say goodbye to the Messiah for over 2,000 years. There was about to be a period where we would go through all types of hell and captivity and lostness and blindness without a clear way forward, so to speak. Because there's always been saints the Most High God has always reserved a remnant. But when you read about what was going on during the Holy Roman Empire or the Byzantine Empire, whatever you want to call it, you see the rise of Catholicism. You see the rise of self-aggrandizement. And you see the diminishment of the sacrifice of Yahushua. And you even see the diminishment of the knowledge that the Most High God redeemed the Israelites out of the hands of the Egyptians. But see, that was all prophesied to occur as well. But when you study that long 1,000-year period, you certainly see that our people fell off in a diverse array of ways, right? But here in Acts 6 through 7, you see that our people are asking the Messiah himself if that was the time that he was going to restore the kingdom of Israel. Let's see what he has to say. Verse 7, and he said unto them, it is not for you to know the times or the seasons which the Father hath put in his own power. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and keep reading because this is going to show you that the Gentiles that were then commissioned to go on to were the northern kingdom Israelites and the Israelites of the southern kingdom who have been scattered to the adjacent lands and lands abroad. At no time were they ever sent to natural-born Gentiles. Verse 8, but ye shall receive power after that the Holy Ghost is come unto you, and ye shall be witnesses unto me, both in Jerusalem and in Judea and in Samaria, and unto the uttermost parts of the earth. So you have blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians who are these very same people who are the southern kingdom and northern kingdom today. See, again, that's why it's important to understand who all these things were spoken to. Because many of our people, if they were given a chance, they would extend salvation to every nation on the planet and make God out to be a liar. See, that's just yet one more reason why our people were not given the authority to manage the covenant. We are not brokers of the covenant because we don't know how to broker anything in regards to managing any sort of spiritual asset, because we give it to those who don't deserve it and we deprive the righteous of it. Right? So we see in Acts 1 and 6 through 8 that our people had a very, very acute awareness that salvation was only for the Israelites. Again, that's why it is imperative that we separate. Because the only hope for these heathens is to somehow pervert the scriptures to the point where somehow they fall up under that umbrella of the Gentiles that are being referenced in the New Testament, when they obviously don't. Right? But let's keep going. Let's go to Acts 11 and 17 through 20. This is Acts chapter 11 and verse 17. For as much then as God gave them the like gift as he did unto us, who believed in the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. What was I that I could withstand God? So this is Peter saying, because you got to remember, Peter was of the mindset that if you were a so-called Gentile, one of the Israelites or Jews spread to all these other lands, or you were Samaritan, right? A person of the northern kingdom, you weren't to receive the gospel. See, again, this is something that Yahushua had to commission himself because our people had gone off. And if the Most High God had not sent his son to perform the mighty acts that he did and to give us direction and correction, we would have went off entirely and been destroyed as a people. It is a very thin and tenuous path that we have walked, a very perilous path that we have taken, or the Most High God has led us through as a people. But we have made it because the Most High God His word will not return unto him void. And he has sent helpers where they are needed, prophets where they are needed, and his son where he was needed, to do what was required for us to be reconciled back into the commonwealth of Israel and to purchase the new covenant. Right? Let's keep going. Now keep in mind, in Acts 10, you had the conversation occur between Peter and Cornelius. Cornelius of the Italian band. Cornelius, who was an Israelite living in a land outside of Judea and was counted a foreigner to the commonwealth of Israel. That's why Peter talked about, and as a matter of fact, I'm only a page away. That's why Peter mentioned in verse 28, right? And he said unto them, ye know how that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come unto one of another nation. But God had showed me that I should not call any man common or unclean. See, that's why Peter said that. Because he wasn't talking about so-called Idumeans. He wasn't talking about Elamites or Ishmaelites. He was talking about the Israelites who were part of the diaspora that were scattered to all the lands that were adjacent and afar off. Right? Well, let's keep going. This is Acts chapter 11 and verse 17. For as much then as God gave them the like gift as he did unto us, who believed on the Lord Yahushua HaMashiach. What was I that could withstand God? When they heard these things, they held their peace and glorified God, saying, then hath God also to the Gentiles granted repentance unto life. So, a lot of times what you'll have is a so-called natural-born heathen. He'll read these two verses and he'll stop. Right? Because he'll say, I'm that Gentile that's being spoken of here. But let's read the following verse, and it gives further context. Now they, which were scattered abroad upon the persecution that arose about Stephen, traveled as far as Phoenix, and Cyprus, and Antioch, preaching the word to none, but unto the Jews only. So, all these lands had plenty of Idumeans in them. All these lands had plenty of natural-born heathen. Why were they preaching to the Jews only if they were going to the Gentiles? And there's an acknowledgement by these people that repentance has been given unto the Gentiles. And then they follow it up by going and preaching only to the Jews. That's because the Jews were scattered to all those lands. See, again, this isn't hard to understand, but if your understanding has been closed off by the Most High God, you will never understand this. That's why, again, it's very important to understand that this is a sealed book, and you can't just pick it up and understand it. God has to open up your understanding. Right? Well, let's keep going. Right? We're going to go to Deuteronomy 17 and 14 through 15. Because now we're going to talk a little bit about politically being separated from our enemies. See, one of the things that's about to happen this fall is that our people are going to go to the voting booths once again, when the Bible has already told you that you're not supposed to be voting for anybody except for people of your own nation to preside and rule over. But because our people are a special brand of dumb and stupid, our people continuously vote for the so-called white man in hopes that he will somehow pass enough policies to lift us out of poverty and save us, not just from all the destruction that he has brought upon us, but in many ways save us from ourselves as we disregard the laws and wisdom of the scriptures and we turn our backs on the Most High God. This is Deuteronomy chapter 17 and verse 14. When thou art come into the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, and shalt possess it, and shalt dwell therein, and shalt say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. Thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set as king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. So blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, this is a lesson that you learn very slowly. You're not supposed to be setting people who are not of your ethnicity over you. And that is according to the scriptures. That is according to the commandment of the Most High God. And then we wonder how the police here in America continue to kill blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians with absolute impunity. It's because we insist on putting our enemies over us. So our enemies continue to pass policies which result in more rigor and in more destruction befalling our people. See, none of these things are complex. They just require you to listen. And because blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians are hard-headed, stiff-necked, and misdirected and misguided by their enemies, we continuously hold out faith that there will be a great white hope that comes along, understands us enough, and loves us enough as a people to exalt us over his own people. When the white man has made it abundantly clear that white supremacy comes first before all things. Right? But let's go ahead and go to Exodus 1 and 8 through 16. Right? Because we have to understand the hatred that we're being shown by our enemies, it's literally written into their laws. Right? Laws like the Casual Killing Act, which protected white men and women when they would kill us during the Jim Crow era. It prevented them from getting harsh sentences, often didn't even resort in any jail time. Killing us was likened unto killing a cow or a damn dog on a damn farm or on somebody's property, or breaking a tool in a factory for which you could pay money as restitution. See, again, that's why all of these things are necessary to be learned in the scriptures. But that's also why our people turn their backs to it, because our people have loved strangers, and after them shall they go. And our people love the ways of the Grecians best of all, because the white man has no rules. That's one thing you learn when you live in his society. There are no rules. If you got enough money and prestige, they'll bend the rules or throw the rule book out the window for you. You could drive drunk, kill people, they'll let you go. You can kill your significant other in a fit of rage or passion, they'll let you go. You could defraud investors to the tunes of billions, they'll let you go. But only if you're so-called one of them and you got enough money. See, and if only you satisfy half of that requirement, you're a so-called white man or heathen in general, you still get some leniency, right? Because they're not trying to throw their own people in prison. They're not trying to diminish their own numbers any lower than they already are. So they're showing leniency to rapists and murderers right now of their own ilk, simply to keep their numbers high and their presence felt and seen out here in these streets. But let's keep going in these scriptures, right? Because in the first chapter of Exodus, we see certain actions being taken by the Egyptians because they began to perceive us as a mightier people, as we had grown in number under the previous Pharaoh, while Joseph and his brothers were still alive. But once there was a new Pharaoh and Joseph and the patriarchs of Israel had passed away, we see a change in policy from these Egyptians. This is Exodus chapter 1 and verse 8. Now there arose a new king over Egypt, which knew not Joseph. And he said unto his people, Behold, the children of Israel are more and mightier than we. Come on, let us deal wisely with them, lest they multiply. And it come to pass, that when there falleth out any war, they join also unto our enemies, and fight against us, and so get them up out of the land. And that's exactly what has happened all throughout history. See, that happened during the Byzantine Empire. See, for anybody who thinks the white man just came out the cave, swinging clubs and laying people down, you got the wrong idea of how everything went down and how the war was won. See, the white man had been worming his way in different ways, right? When they came out of the caves in 449 AD, Jake already had a penchant for white women. So that's one of the things that we haven't acknowledged yet. When the white man can't win, he sends two people. He sends his woman, and he sends an emissary, a religious emissary. It doesn't matter what faith he's peddling. He's going to send his holy man preaching peace, peace, when he knows he means to wage war. But because we lower our guard to the so-called white woman, we welcomed her into our house. And eventually she's going to want to invite her father and her brothers. And that is when Jake goes, wait a minute, I didn't agree to that. But by that point, it's too late. Because now you have children that don't even really know who they are because they're confused. Because it's a woman's job to rear the children, to educate the children, especially in their elementary and primary years of life. And if she's teaching your child that everyone's the same, if she's saying that everybody is beloved of God, and then you're trying to come onto your child and say different, chances are your child is going to err on the side of his mother. See, that's why the Most High God told us to not even join ourselves unto these people through marriage, because they would turn us away from following him. And he was right. Right? But, so we see that with the changing of the leadership in Egypt, the new leader is looking around going, damn, there's too many of these people around here. If we get into any strife or conflict with an enemy, they could join themselves onto the enemy and we'd be finished. So let's go ahead and try to curtail these numbers and give these people something to do so that they don't have any time to even conceptualize about joining onto our enemies. Verse 11, therefore they did set over them taskmasters to afflict them with their burdens, and they built for Pharaoh treasured cities, Pithom and Ramses. And the more they afflicted them, the more they multiplied and grew, and they were grieved because of the children of Israel. So first, they tried to basically put us in rigor and in slavery. And despite them putting us in slavery, we still begin to increase in number and continue to increase in number. And that's something you see with blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians to this day. But no matter how hard you put us in slavery, we increase in numbers. We still grow stronger and mighty. So if that doesn't work, then they go to plan B. Verse 13, and the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them serve was with rigor. So when regular labor and hardship didn't work, they increased it to where you basically were working from sun up to sundown. See, our people haven't learned a damn thing because that's what they do here in America. See, if you really want to be technical, this was the birth of the 40-hour work week. Because, see, most of our people don't even conceptualize what it means to work 40 hours. Right? That is a significant amount of time, 8 hours a day. And not just 8 hours, the best hours of the day. The same hours where you would rear your children and teach them. The same hours you would till your crops and plant your fields, sow your seeds, tend to husbandry as a man, and tend to the duties of a wife as a woman. Right? And now, here in America, 40 hours a week don't cut it. Because if you're only working 40 hours a week on a job, you're expendable. And that's an unspoken rule, but it's something that they definitely enforce. So now you have many people working 50, 60-hour work weeks just to tread water, let alone keep their head above water. But let's see what even that didn't work. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other, Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. This is where abortion first pops on the scene. So you got to understand, these heathen understand, if we can't rid ourselves of these people or the threat of these people, even if it's real or hypothetical, if we can't rid ourselves of the threat of these people, we'll do the next best thing. We'll just kill them as they come out the womb. And notice, they don't mind the females who come through the womb. They don't mind that. But to every male who passes through that matrix, they wanted it dead. Now, who is a figure in American history that you could point to readily that has a very similar disposition to Pharaoh here in Exodus 1? Margaret Sanger, the mother and founder of Planned Parenthood, who said niggers are like weeds and need to be exterminated. Now, she was talking about both males and females, but those of us who understand you are who your father is, the only person you got to exterminate is the man. Because if you exterminate all the men, then that lineage dies, and that's the death of that nation. Even if they're not all dead, eventually they will all die, right? See, that's why we're trying to tell our sisters, blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, you got to come back to your men and have their children. Because you destroy your own lineage when you give birth to the children of your most hated enemy. See, and a lot of our sisters, they find that out far too late when they're surrounded by a bunch of heathen children, wondering why everybody in their household is crazy except for them. Everybody in their household has a penchant for wickedness and debauchery except for them. See, they don't understand you are who your father is. And if you're giving birth to children that are sired by a so-called white man, guess what? Those children are white men. I don't give a damn if they look like Wesley Snipes. But more times than not, our people don't lend any thought to these things. And they're certainly not familiar with the biblical precedent, which establishes you are who your father is. So they think that every man in the world is theirs to choose. Not understanding you can only choose amongst your people. Right? And even the men are encouraged to choose a wife of their own nation. Right? Y'all got time for the Bible today? A couple minutes? Just know if y'all are Native Hispanics, y'all the people in the Bible, y'all are Israelites, okay? Y'all special. Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, you God's chosen. That's why you the best at everything. You the fastest, the strongest, you work the hardest, and you the smartest. That's why the white man call you lazy no matter how hard you work. Because you God's chosen. See, the time is going to come where you're going to cry out to your God, and you really going to need him. And I'm here to tell you, his name ain't God. God is a title. See, to any black, Hispanic, or Native Indian under the sound of my voice who calls himself believing in the Bible, you might want to ask, what is God's real name? What is his name in Paleo Hebrew? So if I have need of him, I can at least call him by his real name. See, that's something that these heathen will tell you all the time. If you just call upon God in the name of Jesus, God will be right there. Nah, that ain't true. But if you listen to your oppressor, he'll lead you to that unfortunate spot in your life where you're calling on God by the wrong name, and the Most High God has to show mercy to you, if it be in his will. Because many Israelites have received benefit of God, though we have not known him, as it says in 2nd Ezra 9. Got time for the Bible, bro? Have a good one. Because we just trying to hand our people back their real history. And see, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, they don't understand that the times that they're coming into, you're going to have to resist your enemy like never before. That's why it's important to seek the Most High God while he may be found. Call upon him while he is near. Don't wait until you are in a critical position to try to call upon God, not having kept any commandments, not having become familiar with the things that God requires of them. That is not wise. But it's unfortunate that our people are stupid, because our people prefer to do things that are most unwise. But either way, right? We're going to continue reading this out. Just one second. This is Exodus. This is Exodus, chapter 1 and verse 13. And the Egyptians made the children of Israel to serve with rigor, and they made their lives bitter with hard bondage, in mortar and in brick, and in all manner of service in the field. All their service wherein they made them to serve was with rigor. And the king of Egypt spake to the Hebrew midwives, of which the name of one was Shiphrah, and the name of the other Puah. And he said, when ye do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, then see them upon the stools. If it be a son, then ye shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live. But the midwives feared God, and did not as the king of Egypt commanded them, but saved the men, children alive. So the Most High God made it so that even though the decree was given forth by Pharaoh, they still knew the God in which the Israelites served. And they feared that God. And as a result, they didn't carry out that decree. Now, it goes on also to say, when the king addressed the women for not carrying out his order, they let the king know, hey, man, these women, man, they lively, man. They get that baby out, and then they back on guard. They back doing their thing. They back living their lives. We don't get the opportunity to do what you told us to do. Now, today, that liveliness has been redirected as a destructive force to destroy our own communities. That's why a lot of our sisters are described as ghetto and ratchet. But once upon a time, that driving force that made our sisters obnoxious and a pain in the ass to deal with made them an integral presence for our children in safeguarding their very lives. From the time they passed out of the womb and entered into adolescence upon the earth. Right? Let's keep going. So we're going to go ahead and go to Daniel 8 and 23 through 25. Right? Because we saw that all those things were done through the decree of the king. Right? See, we have to understand that it's through policy that these people keep oppressing us. Oh, keep going. How you doing, brother? Got time for the Bible today? You got time for the Bible? All right, brother. This is Daniel, chapter 8 and verse 23. And in the latter time of their kingdom, when the transgressors are come to the full, a king of fierce countenance and understanding dark sentences shall stand up. And his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty, and the holy people. So this is talking about a kingdom that comes after the Grecians. The kingdom that came after the Grecians were the Romans. Right? And the Romans, just like America, are not mighty because of their own armies. They're mighty because of their allies. Right? EU, NATO, just like Rome, whoever they conquered, they conscripted the men of that respective nation to serve in their armies. See, this is yet another way that we know who the Bible is talking about in Daniel 8. That's how we understand who's going to be ruling before the redemption of the Israelites takes place. Right? Verse 25. And through his policy, also he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand. So it says here at the beginning of verse 25, through his policies, he shall cause craft, or things that he works on or makes, to prosper in his hand. That's how the institution of slavery flourished, through policy. Y'all got time for the Bible today? A couple minutes?
Not right now, brother. Hey, man.
All right, just know if you're black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, you're an Israelite. All right, you're special, bro. Keep the laws of God, man. It's gonna matter. Yes, sir. This is Daniel 8:24, and his power shall be mighty, but not by his own power. And he shall destroy wonderfully, and shall prosper in practice, and shall destroy the mighty and the holy people. I wanted to reread that because I didn't state loudly enough that this very same kingdom that's spoken of that would come after the Grecians would destroy the holy people. Right? Who were the people that the Romans had in bondage? The Israelites. See, again, that's why it's important to understand history and which leaderships came after which. And if you understand that America is the Roman Empire revived, that's why you see the same architecture. That's why you see the same holidays, like Christmas or Saturnalia, Thursday, Thor's Day. You know, you've got all these different days of the week in celebration of various Greco-Roman gods like Janus, Zeus. You've got all these different so-called holidays like Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is tied to Tammuz, right? The son of Semiramis, the queen of heaven. See, a lot of times our people don't quite understand, right? The pagan practices of yesterday are still alive and well here in America, because America is Rome reborn. And the original name of America, before Amerigo Vespucci, right, officially got involved, and Columbus was found actually to be a thief, right? But before Amerigo Vespucci had his input and basically caused this country to be named America, it was originally supposed to be called Rome. That's why Washington, D.C., the capital of America, was originally called Rome, right? That's why you've got the obelisk, which represents Nimrod, or Nimrod's phallus. Those of y'all who know what a phallus is, you obviously know what I'm talking about. But all these things let you know that America is Rome reborn. That's why when you have the prophecy of the wounded head on the beast with the 7 heads and the 10 horns, the head wounded as if unto death but did not die, and it's described as an 8th kingdom. But that just means a kingdom that was supposed to end didn't end. It was reborn, or it endured its affliction and came back into power. And you see in verse 25, again, you see that policy causing craft to prosper in his hand. And you see that to this day. I stand right now on the land called Texas. But this land was originally part of Mexico. But through policy, this land was annexed into America. And the white man dared our Hispanic brothers to go fight it for it. Our Issacharite brothers. I don't even want to call them property of Spain, right? Because that's what Hispanic means. They dared our Issacharite brothers to come fight them for it. And fight they did. That's why you have the borders that you have, right? The border that extends between Texas, Arizona, all the way to California. And that's because our people fought tooth and nail to hold on to the lands that actually belong to them. Now, our brothers, our Issacharite brothers, had another problem, the Spaniards. Keep going, sister. You got it. Keep going. You need some cold water? You need some cold water? Okay. But We see in verse 25 that they cause their policy to cause all of their endeavors to prosper. And that's why you see here in America, if as a so-called Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, you want to move into a prosperous area, their policy prevents that. It's called redlining. If you want to get a damn credit card with a low fixed interest rate, their policy prevents that for you, but it ensures that for them. I looked at my credit card the other day, which I thought had a 9% APR, and that's horrible by itself. Like, when the white man be having credit cards with 2 and 3% interest rates. But they had jumped my shit up to 18% interest. So I'm paying nearly 20% extra on every purchase I make with that credit card. And that's on top of all the other debts that I have. Keep going. You got it. Keep going. Don't stop. You got it, sister. Yeah, buddy. Keep going. You a special people to the Most High God. Native Hispanics, you Israelites. Keep it up. Don't stop. Y'all need some cold water? Sure thing. Because I know what it's like to be running in this 100-degree heat. Shit. You need encouragement and cold water. Shit. We done fell out here. You know what I'm saying? She stopped on that hill, but she had enough in the tank to get up that hill, though. So that's something that Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians, we don't do enough, man. We don't encourage each other. We be seeing each other struggling, man. We just leave each other to die and flounder. Instead of just giving a word of encouragement, letting our people know, hey, I see your struggle. Don't quit. See, that's one thing that I can definitely say as a so-called black man. I can see the upliftment of my brothers when I give them words of encouragement. How you doing, sister? You believe in the Bible at all? You know what tribe you come from in the Bible? See, that's the door to the Bible. If you Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, you're an Israelite. See, most of our people think God ain't got no standards. All you gotta do is say, I love Jesus. I got news for you. That shit don't work. See, most people, they run into an Israelite group or two. That's why a lot of times when you ask them what tribe they come from in the Bible, they get skittish. All of a sudden, they don't want to talk to you no more. Because they know you about to require them to do something. So that's the thing the Christian church doesn't require our people to do. And that's have active participation in their faith. Because faith without works is dead. And though the Christian church professes to say that, they certainly don't enforce it. Because they don't tell you what the works are that you have to commit to make your faith alive. You see, I have to say it one more time. There's going to come a day where our sisters are going to be looking for any old man to be their protection. The days of them waving you off, telling you not to talk to them, not to look at them in public. See, them days are about to be a thing of the past. I saw a video on my way to camp today. A black woman said for black men to acknowledge them in public, because now we got the message. We done stopped saying hello. We don't want to have nothing to do with our sisters in public because we're sick of the shit that they keep giving us. And just like a woman who don't know what she wants, now she wants the opposite of what she demanded at first. To any man who's ever dealt with a woman here in Babylon, that ain't no damn surprise. You try asking a woman what she wants to eat, and y'all be done starved to death by the time she figure it out. Right? But let's keep going with these scriptures. Right? Actually, I think that's it on Daniel. So we see through policy, this white devil is orchestrating all of the designs and machinations of his wicked plots on this earth. Not just here in the daughter of Babylon, but all over the earth where he has set his foot in his dominance. Right? So let's move on. Right? Let's go to Exodus 7:1. Because we have to understand there's a reason why we're not supposed to be setting these people over us or trying to take heed of these people to sort out political affairs within our tribes. Right? Y'all got time for the Bible? A couple minutes?
Pardon?
Time for the Bible?
Bible. Oh, no,
No,
thanks.
thanks.
Many thanks.
Now says. This is Exodus chapter 7 and verse 1. And the Lord said unto Moses, See, I have made thee a God to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. So, in relation to our heathen adversaries, we have been made literal gods, rulers, divine ones, judges. Hey, what's up, brother? Well, how you doing now? Have a seat, man. Have a seat. Hey, come on, man. That's fine. But you been all right? Yes, sir. Okay. You been sleeping and stuff?
Trying to?
Trying to? Okay. Well, you do get some sleep, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'll bring it.
I'm already.
Okay.
I'm already.
Ow.
Sorry.
Actually, hi, El. What's your name? Al. Al. Okay. Well, everybody have a seat. I'm gonna start at the beginning. Okay.
I'm off Philippians. I already.
Okay.
I mean, time?
Well, the time is it?
Somebody stole my phone.
It's 7:30. If you will.
I'll sit for a minute. I got head back. Okay. Stuff I got to do. So you said you were a good man.
Well, we're gonna start at the very beginning.
It's not block the camera.
So you remember how I told you we're going to go ahead and start, and we're going to see the creation story, and then we're going to see who Jacob is in the Bible. We're going to work our way all the way up to him. If we got time, if we don't get there, we'll stop where we're at, and we'll continue the next time, all right? So we're going to start at Genesis 1 and 1. So I want you to understand what it says in the Bible. You have to actually look to see what it means a little further than what it says in the text, right? This is Genesis 1 and 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Now that sounds simple enough. God created the heaven and the earth. But I'm going to show you the term for God is plural in Hebrew. So we're going to go to Genesis 1 and 1. Is it going to rain? I need to check on that. So,
Smell like rain.
yeah, that rain's been popping up out of nowhere lately. But I want to show you. This is Genesis 1 and 1. And this is something called an interlinear. It's a dictionary and it shows the terms in Hebrew. So we see the term for God. We're going to play it so you can hear it. Let me turn my headphones off. So you have the term Elohim. Let's see what it means for God there. It's plural. Rulers, judges, divine ones, angels, gods. That's what's in Genesis 1 and 1. Now, when you see God in all caps, that's the most high God, right? The God that they call Yahweh. Yahweh. But when you see God in all lowercase, you have to look and see what the context is. Because sometimes it could be literally the angels, or it could be referring to the Most High God. You just have to see the context, right? So now we're going to read on. It's going to make a little bit more sense, right? In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, and the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, let there be light, and there was light. Now, so if God said it, and now this God has a capital G with all lowercase after it, that means that it has a form of leadership. Who is that God who's leading all of these other people? Are these angels? I'm about to read something to you. If you're already in Philippians, You've already read this in Colossians, but I'm going to bring it to your remembrance. All right? I'll tell you. Actually, no. I think you might get to it after this. Yeah, you're actually a few pages away. Okay, I'm gonna spoil it for you. Okay, this is Colossians chapter 1 and verse 14, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. Who is this talking about? Go to Colossians in your Bible. I'm going to guide you through it. Because when the Bible says that the only begotten Son of the Most High God is Jesus Christ, it's literal. The only creation that the Most High God ever made was his Son. And his Son did everything else. Oh, I got something for you too. Told you I was going to give you one, right? I got you. Colossians, and I want you to go to 1 in verse 14. Actually, you know what? Go to 12. Go to 12. Right? This is Colossians 1 and 12. Giving thanks unto the Father, which hath made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light, who have delivered us from the powers of our power of darkness, and have translated us unto the kingdom of his dear Son. So it's talking about the saints of God being translated into the kingdom of his Son. Who's the Son of God? Jesus Christ, right? In whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins. So this is still talking about Jesus Christ, right? Verse 15, who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. So Jesus Christ is the image of the invisible God, and he is the firstborn of every creature, meaning the first creation of the Most High God was his Son. Now, keep reading, right? Who is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. For by him were all things created that are in heaven and that are in earth, visible and invisible, whether they be thrones or dominions or principalities or powers. All things were created by him and for him. This is talking about Christ creating everything. So when it says, in the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth, who's it talking about? Christ. Now, I want to show you something. Go to Revelation.
Por acá, papi.
Native
sí.
Hispanics, blacks,
por allá,
Native
papi.
Indians. Y'all God's chosen Israelites. Okay? But we are going to go. Is it Revelation 7? I think it's 7. No, that's not 7. There it is. Go to Revelations 14. Revelations 14 and start at verse 3. Actually, no, we'll start at 1 just to make it easy, right? This is Revelations 14 and 1. And I looked, and lo, a lamb stood on the Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his father's name written in their foreheads. And I heard a voice from heaven, as the voice of many waters, and as the voice of a great thunder. And I heard the voice of harpers, harping with their harps. And they sung, as it were, a new song before the throne, and before the four beasts and the elders. And no man can learn that song but the 144,000, which were redeemed from the earth. These are they which were not defiled with women, for they are virgins. These are they which follow the Lamb whithersoever he goeth. Who's the Lamb in this context? Well, who's the Lamb of God? Christ, right? because he's the one who sacrificed himself for the redemption of the Israelites. So he's the sacrificial lamb. So when it says, these are they who follow the lamb whithersoever he goes. So wherever the lamb goes, that 144,000, that are 12,000 from each tribe of Israel, they follow Christ everywhere. So what about the very beginning? Were they there too? Yeah. Why do you think it says God created the heaven and the earth, and it's plural? Because that's Christ and the 144,000, and they created everything else. Now you're starting to see how this book flows together. Because if you don't understand this, when you read Genesis 1 and 1, you don't understand what it means when it says God created the heaven and the earth. See what I'm saying? So let's go back to Genesis, right? Now I'm going to show you something. I'm going to give you a pen. I want you where, actually, I want you to do this. Yeah, I'm going to show you how to do this. Right? Yeah, if you have any questions, just stop me.
Well, I don't. I just.
He's very good about it. He's very knowledgeable.
I'm listening. I'm respecting you for that. I understand what you're saying.
So I'm going to show you something. I'm just going to take this off because this is useless.
I got a long hike back. I'm old.
I understand that.
Well, it sounds like a bowl of Rice Krispies getting out of bed this morning. But
I'm older than I look.
I appreciate it. I shake you with the right hand this time. I know you didn't like that.
You be safe, man.
Take care, buddy. My buddy right here.
Keep him safe. I appreciate it, brother.
I was talking.
I appreciate it, man.
All right, get him out of his hole. As he's trying to get myself out of the hole. So he just needs to learn to love himself. That's all. All right, nice meeting you, buddy.
Of course, man. Of course.
Not the way to camera, all right? Give him my Heisman move.
Oh, no.
Be good.
All right, you too,
You
man.
too, man. Be safe.
Tomorrow morning,
Yeah, tomorrow there.
you walking there or am I walking?
You'll hear.
You know I'll be there before
Yeah.
you wake up.
Go for it.
So I'm going to show you, right? So I'm sitting next to the camera, y'all. I'll be right back in front of it in just a second. So we see that in Revelations 14, we saw the 144,000, right? So in order to make sure that you have that understanding, what you do is you write a precept. You're gonna do. So it says that the land, these are those that follow the land whithersoever we go. You're gonna write Genesis or Gen, G-E-N, 1. Let's try to dry that off. It's wet. Alright? And then we're gonna turn back. As a matter of fact, I want to show you who the 144,000 is real quick. Right?
So this one we're talking about like last time about the precept, right? Going back and then going,
Yes.
going
Back and forth.
Back and
Yeah,
forth.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
To understand what you're reading.
Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what you're doing. All right? So now you need to know who the 144,000 are. All right?
I was reading something like this too. I don't know if this. It was just something that I know it's just something that somebody gave me, and then wherever I go, they give me stuff like this. I didn't always have to be rude, but I take it and just.
Yeah. Nothing wrong with taking it, but just understand who it's from.
That's, I remember y'all saying last time.
Yeah.
It has to go back to. It has to date back right
To the Bible.
To the Bible.
Yeah, it has to resonate with the scriptures.
Yes.
Because the scriptures don't say everybody can be saved. It says the Israelites going to be saved. And then everybody else, they're going to be in the kingdom of heaven as servants for 1,000 years. After that, they go back to their nation. See what I'm saying? So it's not like everybody's going to just be forever oppressed. They're only paying back what they've done to us. Because they've been enslaving us for hundreds of years. They got to pay double. But we'll get into that way later, because that's in Revelations 18, right? But, so here, you have, actually, we're going to just read this, right? So I'm going to give you my pen. And then if you need help doing the precept, let me know. But I want to show you, because you wrote in Revelations 14, but we're going to go back to Genesis, and I want you to write my Bible looks different because it's beat up. But
No, no, it's,
so yeah, we're gonna let that turn.
they're good.
Yeah, there you go. Good. And then right here, you're gonna write on the side Revelations 14 and 1, or REV 14 1. And then just blow on it so it'll dry out. But then, and now after probably about 30 seconds, or if it's dry,
Yeah.
go ahead and go with me to Revelations chapter 7. Because we're going to see who the 144,000 are. And this is to my camera. This is what precept upon precept is. You know what I'm saying? You got to take it slow and, treasure what you read. Don't rush. The understanding will come in time.
Yeah.
Take your time. Hold on one second. My Bible sticks together.
Yeah.
All right?
Revelations what?
7. And we're going to go to verse. You know what? Let's just start at 1 and we'll read down, okay? Oh, you sisters went the other way. Anyway, this is Revelations chapter 7 and verse 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living God. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea. Just to let you know, John the Revelator is seeing a vision. And he's seeing a lot of things that tie into what is happening on the earth right now. Those 4 winds are basically destruction that's supposed to befall the earth, and these angels are holding it back. They're not literal winds. Okay? What do you think is going to destroy America? War, right?
War. Yeah.
And in that war, what weapon?
Nukes.
Nuclear bombs. Yes, that's actually exactly correct. So when you read in the book of Daniel, it talks about literal angels going to different kings and trying to get them to do certain things. We'll get to that much later. I'm just letting you know that angels are involved in starting and stopping wars. And the war to end all wars is what this 4 winds of destruction are. Because you have 4 main lands in the world. You have North America and South America, one big landmass. Then you have Europe, you have Africa, and then you have Asia. Those are basically the 4 corners of the earth. And they're holding back the 4 winds that could destroy the 4 corners of the earth. Right? Verse 3, saying, hurt not the earth, neither the sea nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our God in their foreheads. And I saw the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel. Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Asher were sealed 12,000. And of the tribe of Naphtali were sealed 12,000. And of the tribe of Manasseh were sealed 12,000. And of the tribe of Simeon were sealed 12,000. And of the tribe of Levi were sealed 12,000. And of the tribe of Issachar were sealed 12,000. And of the tribe of Zebulun were sealed 12,000. And of the tribe of Joseph were sealed 12,000. And of the tribe of Benjamin were sealed 12,000. Now you get who that 12 are, the 144,000. Because 12 times 12 is what? 144,000. That's how you know. In Genesis 1 and 1, the God that created the heaven and the earth, that plural God there, that's Yahweh Shai and 144,000. Because they follow the Lamb wherever he goes. So that means his first order of business was to create helpers. So after the Most High God created him, gave him the wisdom to do everything else, he said, okay, I got to delegate some of this work. I can't do everything. All right, 12,000, 12,000, 12,000, so on and so forth. Now he has 144,000. Now we can go back to Genesis. So now what I want you to do is I want you to go back to Revelations 14. Yes. Second. You got it?
I don't know what 14 looks like.
It's X. I'll write a little key for you, but I'll help you navigate. So it's right here, and you're going to write here, Revelation 7 and 4. There you go. Right? And then go back to Genesis 1.
Oh, staying on. Yeah.
Right? And you're going to write against Revelations 7 and 4. That way, if you're in that book, you know to go back to Genesis. And if you're in Genesis, you know to go back to Revelations.
Okay, so here I write.
Yeah, so you're going to write it
Genesis?
next to, yeah, right there.
What I write?
Just Revelation 7 and 4.
7 and 4.
Yes, sir. You got some cold water, brother?
I got water.
Well, I'll give you this. Hold on. Let me refill this real quick, and I'll give you the rest. There you go, man. Have some cold water.
Oh, cool.
Yes, sir. Have you eaten today?
Earlier?
I'll make sure you.
Yeah. I'll tell you later. I'll tell you later.
Okay. So we're gonna go back to Genesis, and we're gonna read from 1. How you doing, brother? Y'all got time for the Bible today?
No, not right now. Thank you.
Y'all are native Hispanics. Just know y'all are Israelites, and y'all special. Okay. All right. So this is Genesis, chapter 1 and verse 1. In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep. And the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And God said, "Let there be light." And there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good. And God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, "Let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters." So what that means is the firmament is up in the sky. So the waters on the earth the water on the earth is likened unto the water that is the sky or space. And you know, in space you have lower orbit and then you have outer orbit, right? The outer orbit is beyond something called the Van Allen belt. Are you familiar with that?
Heard of it?
You've heard of it? Okay, cool. I'm gonna show you like a little artist rendition of what it's supposed to be. But it's a layer of radiation that goes around the entire Earth,
Okay.
right? It's also one of the ways that we know that we never went to the moon, because that layer of radiation is so lethal to us that you would literally have to have like 10 inches of lead in order to get through it without being poisoned by radiation. That means whatever rocket they launch, it would have to be so heavy to the point where they would have to use like 20 times the amount of propulsion in order to get it out of orbit. And that's just not feasible with, liquid hydrogen. That's just not feasible.
So you're saying that ISS is not real?
Well, no, that's real because that's in lower orbit.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? So let me bring it up real quick. And, so this is the concept. All right. So the Van Allen belt, or Van Allen radiation belt, is a zone of energetic charged particles, most of which originate from the solar wind, that are captured by and held around the planet by the planet's magnetosphere. Earth has 2 such belts, and sometimes others may be temporarily created. This is what it means, or this is how it covers the Earth. Right? So if you were to launch a rocket off the Earth, you have to fly through that to go to the moon. And that's the radiation that would kill you, because you wouldn't be able to get through it unless you had, like I said, enough shielding around the craft.
Yes.
That's how we know nobody went to the moon. Right? That's also why nobody has been back to the moon since the 60s. Now, hasn't technology gotten better? So how have they not gone back? That doesn't make any sense.
Why would you?
That's what I said, right?
No, I mean,
But here's the thing. If you lied about something, when you come up with an excuse, what did they say happened to the telemetry data? The numbers that they basically had that showed how to get back to the moon. They said they lost
We
it.
lost it.
Well, isn't that convenient? You lie in the 60s, everybody believes you, then they go, hey, go back to the moon. You go, oh, I can't, I lost it. So that lets you know they never went. But that's only because the Van Allen belts prevent them from going. That's why outside of that is what you call the fourth heaven. That's where the Most High is. We're going to keep reading, right? So let's keep going to Genesis 1. This is Genesis chapter 1 and verse 5. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And the evening and the morning were the first day. And God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament and divided the waters, which were under the firmament, from the waters, which were above the firmament. And it was so. That firmament is literally like it's almost like a glass dome in a sense, right? So that's why we know you can't just pass out of Earth's, passing the outer orbit. You can't just fly out. There's a literal barrier, an energetic barrier that you can't get out of. So really, Earth is like a cage. You can't just get out of it, right? That's why you see UFOs. They come and they go as they please. Because what are UFOs in the Bible? They're the angels. And they fly to and fro. They fly to the earth and out of the earth, and they go back to tell God things and come back to do the work that God sends them to do. And we're going to see that in the Bible, right? Verse 7, actually verse 8. And God called the firmament heaven, and the evening and the morning were the second day. And God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. So at the beginning, earth was literally covered in water. And this is where you have the water being like parsed in certain places, where you have coasts. Here's where the land is, here's where the water is. God set these boundaries. You got to remember, Yahushua and the angels get all their commandments from the Most High. So they're just carrying out his will. So wherever God wants a certain piece of land, they're like, okay, according to the blueprint, this is what's supposed to be right here, and this is what's supposed to be right here, and this is what's supposed to be right here. The sun is supposed to be for the day, the moon is supposed to be for the night. All these things are ordained by the Most High, right? Verse 10, and God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters he called seas. And God saw that it was good. And God said, let the earth bring forth grass, and herb yielding seed, and the fruit tree, and yielding fruit after his kind, whose seed is in itself upon the earth. And it was so. So here, you see the creation of plants, right? And you see it says the plants that yield fruit, and they're fruit-bearing trees or fruit-bearing plants. So when you have a peach, what's in the middle of a peach? A seed. When you have a natural watermelon, what's in that watermelon? Seeds. So the fruit literally gives forth seeds to continue to produce more fruit, more trees, more vines. You see what I'm saying? The creation itself is supposed to propagate itself, so that this creation process doesn't have to keep being made. You see what I'm saying? God already thought of that. Once I create it this one time, it'll just keep going, right? Verse 12, and the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. Now, it keeps saying which day it is. Do you think these are 24-hour periods? Because this is a whole lot of stuff to do in 24 hours.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So I want to show you something. Right? Let me get it real quick, and I'm going to show you where to go. Can you go to 2 Peter? And I'm going to show you where it's at. Actually, you're already close. Go to 2 Peter chapter 3 and verse 8. pages to it. Yeah, John. Yeah, yes, I think it's before James. There you go. That's right here. First Epistle of Peter. And a couple of pages. That's Second Peter. Right here. Oh, no, you're right. 3 and 8. That's First John. I was about to say, why is this space different?
Okay, Peter.
Yeah, there it is. So 3 and 8. Or is it 3 and Second Peter. Yeah, it's only like 2 pages. That's why it does that. And you have a brand new Bible. They're gonna stick together. All right, cool. There you go. 3 and 8 right here. So we're gonna read it together. Now keep in mind, in First Genesis, we have Yahweh Shai and the angels. They're operating on the time scale of the Most High. We're going to see that time for God is different than it is for us, right? This is 2 Peter, chapter 3 and verse 8. But beloved, be not ignorant of this one thing, that one day is with the Lord as 1,000 years, and 1,000 years as one day. So one day to God is 1,000 years to us. So those days in Genesis, how long are they?
3,000.
They're 1,000 years, so you're on 3,000. See? Now, imagine if you don't know that. Now you see how it doesn't make any sense?
Yeah.
You would think that the moon and the stars were all created in 24 hours.
Well, when he said day, I'm thinking 24 hours.
Yeah, of course.
But now it's coming to sense, you know?
Well, now you understand, because now you understand what to look for in the Bible.
Yeah.
So what do you do now that you have that precept?
Precept,
You got to write it down.
Mark it down.
There you go, 2 Peter 3 and 8. And you're going to do that in Genesis, and you can write it where it says in the first day. So, 1 second. Second day.
So I'll write Genesis.
So you can write it next to where you have a little bit more space. You can write it at the end of the second day, which is going to be in verse 8 of Genesis 1. So you can write 2 Peter 3 and 8.
But on 2 Peter, I can write.
Yeah, you'll write Genesis 1 and 8. Yes, sir.
Genesis 1 and 8.
Yes, sir.
And then in Genesis, it's going to be 2 Peter
3 and 8.
3 and 8.
You got it. Before you know it, it'll be second nature, man.
Right?
Yeah. And you're going to have like 20 precepts to line up on one scripture.
But on Genesis, what
You can do it on 1 and 8, where you have a little bit more room, just where it says on a day. So whether it be the second, third, or fourth day, it don't matter.
okay. Second Peter, what was it?
3 and 8.
3. Sorry.
No, you're good. I do the same thing. So I cheat. What I do is when I'm doing a scripture, I try to use both hands, and what I'll do is I'll hold it here, and I just flip back and forth,
Go back and forth.
because I forget, like that. And the last thing you want to do is write the wrong precept, and then when you come back to it, you go to it, and it's wrong.
It's wrong.
And then you got to try to find it all over again. Because this ain't my first Bible. I think this is my third Bible that I've tried to write out, and they wear out eventually, so you got to start all over again. You know what I'm saying? But let's keep going, right? So we're going to go to Genesis 1 and, let's just go through 12. So this is Genesis 1 and 12. And the earth brought forth grass, and herb yielding seed after his kind, and the tree yielding fruit, whose seed was in itself after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And the evening and the morning were the third day. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Now, when somebody wants to know what season it is, what can you do at night? You can look up at the stars, and you can see what constellations are in the sky.
That would say the season.
Yeah. So sometimes the North Star is in a certain position during a certain time of the year, and then during winter it's in another position. During the summer equinox. Okay. Or have you ever heard of the summer solstice?
Yes.
Yeah. That's I had it, summer solstice. So that's when certain heavenly bodies are in certain positions in relativity to what you can see. See what I'm saying? So the stars are literally here for us to know what time of the year it is.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why when you read this, it's literally telling you the moon and the sun are to divide the day and the night, and then the stars in the heavens are to let you know what time of year it is, what season it is. Because different seasons have different holy days in it, like Passover. Passover is at the beginning of the year. But the beginning of the year for us is in April. It's not in January. Because January is during the winter, isn't it? Why would you have a new year in the middle of winter? But that's what the heathen do. That's what they do. According to the Gregorian calendar, the calendar that we use now, the new year starts, as you know, as of January 1st, after December. But that's in the dead of winter. That's why the Bible says that Christ was born essentially during the spring, when the shepherds could have their cattle out in the field at night. Well, you can't have your cattle in the field during the winter, can you? No. What times of the year can you have your cattle out and leave them in the field? Summer and probably early fall. And that's about it. Late fall, probably spring, and then summer. So just for sure, right? So for the most part, we know that Christ was born during the spring, right? That's why when they say Christ was born for December 25th or Christmas, we know it has nothing to do with Christ because he wasn't born during that time. See? Now, actually, you know what? I'm not going to say it because that comes later. We'll get to that later. Okay. So let's get back to Genesis. This is Genesis 1:16. And God made two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. Now you see that God is not, or the whole word is not capitalized. It's a capital G followed by a lowercase o and a d. This is still the same term that you saw in Genesis 1. This is Elohim. Because you're going to see God, all caps, come up in Genesis 2. So you got to remember, you always have to be aware of when that changes. Because sometimes you're dealing with the Most High, and sometimes you're dealing with somebody who's a lesser angel or a lesser
So when
power.
it's all capitalized, it's about
It's the Most High.
The Most High.
Yes, that's right. Right. Verse 19. And the evening and the morning were the fourth day. And God said, let the waters bring forth abundantly that the moving creature that hath life, and fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven. So you'll notice all the creatures of the earth were born out of the water. Right? Because when you're born, what happens to a woman when you're born? The water breaks.
Water breaks.
I'm trying to think of something that breaks that rule. But anything that passes through a so-called vaginal canal, doesn't matter if it's an insect or say a mammal, a cat, a cow, chicken, whatever, they all have to come through water.
Yeah.
A vaginal canal that has fluid in it. The earth, the waters or the seas of the earth are literally like the womb of the earth. And all living things came out of it. Right? Verse 21. And God created great whales, and every living creature that moveth, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind. And God saw that it was good. And God blessed them, saying, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the waters in the seas, and let fowl multiply in the earth. And the evening and the morning were the fifth day. So now we're coming into the fifth day. Let's see what comes about on the earth on the fifth day, right? Verse 24, and God said, let the earth bring forth the living creature after his kind, cattle, and creeping thing, and beast of the earth after his kind. And it was so. And God made the beast of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after his kind. And God saw that it was good. So anything that walks, crawls, or creeps, spider, antelope, or what about a man? Don't we creep upon the earth? Yeah, we walk on the earth. So let's go to the next verse. All right? And God said, let us make man in our image, after our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. So God made man in his own image. In the image of God made he him. Male and female created he them. So that's where you have man and woman being created. Now, didn't they tell you Adam and Eve were the first men and women on the planet?
Yes.
Yeah, they did. So where are they at right now? They're not here yet. So that means they weren't the first created. So what you're going to see with Adam is that Adam wasn't the first created. He was the first that was chosen. And we're going to see that, right? Now, we're not going to read all the way straight through. I just want you to have a really good understanding of Genesis 1 and 2.
Okay.
When you have a chance, reread it yourself,
Okay.
right? Actually, we're going to read 3 as well because it has the curse for us disobeying God in the garden, right? But let's keep going. So God made man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. And God said, behold, I have given you every herb-bearing seed, which is upon the face of the earth, and every tree, in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. What do you do with meat?
What are you doing, meat?
Yeah,
Besides eat it?
there you go. You eat it. So if God gave you every fruit-bearing seed and herb to eat, can you smoke it? Now you see why I asked that question.
Yeah.
You're not supposed to smoke.
No.
That's why a lot of times when people smoke, especially the first time, what happens? You cough.
Yep.
You cough to the point where you have tears. I remember the first time I smoked a cigarette, I thought I was going to die. Because I think it was a menthol as well. One of those Camel Crushes or whatever.
Okay.
And like I thought my lungs was going to burn up. But the thing is, though, you're not supposed to do that. Did you know tobacco actually makes your skin look younger and keeps it younger longer? Tobacco leaves by themselves. But that's because you're not supposed to smoke it. You're supposed to use it as a medicine or eat it.
Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you misuse it, it could be used as a drug, but it will ultimately hurt you. That's why you see people with lung cancer. That's a judgment from God for doing the wrong thing. Because you're misusing his creation. So eventually God goes, okay, you've had 30, 40 years of smoking or eating pork. Now I got to give you a heart attack. Now I got to give you a stroke. Now you got emphysema. Now you're talking through that damn voice box. Talking about, I'm one of those people who smoke cigarettes. You've heard them people.
Yeah.
And it's sad when you see it. But when they tell you they smoke for 35 years, it takes the edge off of your sympathy, doesn't it? Because you realize, wait, why didn't you stop when you had your first bout of coughing up blood? Or having a problem with your voice? And then you realize, oh, you just didn't care. But now you do, because God took away your voice. That's the type of stuff that happens when you don't keep God's laws. These are universal laws, by the way. Because notice, this is for all men that are created upon the earth. Right? Well, let's keep going. Verse 30. Into every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the 6th day. So you have the first 6,000 years. That's where all the creating was being done. So on the 5th day, or the 5th 1,000-year cycle, as it started from 5001, you had the creation of all these things begin to take place. So for 1,000 years, you had men and women and all the animals on the planet procreating, having children. So by the time Adam and Eve come about, there's a lot more people than there were when they first created everybody. Because how long does it take for a man or a woman to become mature enough to have a kid? About 20, right? Around the age of 20, you start having children. Same thing back then. So for 1,000 years, all these things took place. Let's read on in Genesis 2 and see what happened. This is Genesis 2:1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made. Now keep in mind that God there is still Elohim, right? So for the 7,000 years, or the 6,001, going into 7,000 years, that's where they stopped working. They were done. You're going to see the Most High God come in now, right? And on the seventh day, God ended his work, which he had made. And he rested on the seventh day from all his work, which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work, which God created and made. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, and the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens. Now, you see there, Lord God is in all caps. Lord is. So even though God created Yahushua and the lesser angels to create everything, you still give credit to the foreman, the head, who gave them permission and the power and the ability to create everything. That would be like, say like you're my manager, you're the foreman, and I'm on your construction crew, and my job is to pave this bridge. After I get done paving this bridge, your boss is going to come and say, good job to who? To you, because you led the project. He might pat me on the back a little bit. He might even give me a small little token, like, hey, good job, you did a good job, right? Give me a little extra. But who's going to get the big bonus? You, because you were the head of the project. You're the project lead, and you see that on any job. Your manager gets the bonus. If you work in retail, who gets the new car at the end of the quarter? Not the employees. The general manager does. How about the doctor, who basically has a nursing staff under? Who gets to go to Cancun for the weekend? Not the nurse, the head doctor. No different here, right? So God is getting the credit for this, right? Verse 3, and God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work, which God created and made. These are the generations of the heavens and of the earth when they were created, in the day that the Lord God made the earth and the heavens, and every plant of the field, before it was in the earth, and every herb of the field before it grew. For the Lord God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. You're going to notice all the way up until Noah, it never rains. The first time it ever rained on the earth, God flooded the earth because we were being wicked. So God drowned everybody. Nobody even knew what rain was. Did you know Noah prophesied for 100 years before God flooded the earth. And all the while he was building the ark. And they called him crazy until the rain came, because they had never seen rain before. But when the rain first started to come, they were like, yo, what is this? Then all of a sudden, hey, where's Noah? Well, Noah's in the ark. It's too late. See? But let's keep going. Verse 4. These are the generations of... actually, I read that. Verse 6. But there went up a mist from the earth, and watered the whole face of the ground. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. Now, let's break this down. So, do you think God took some dirt and made a little clay figure of a man, and then said, and it came to life? No. So God selected somebody. But let's prove that. We're going to go to Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7. I'm going to show you where that's at. All right? I'm going to get it here, and I'm going to help you turn to the word. All right? Because now we need to know what the breath of life is. I'm going to tell you, you're already ahead of most people who sit in the church for 30 years. Ain't that sad? To sit in church for 30 years and you don't even know Genesis 1:1. They're thinking that it's the Most High God when it's not. I say that because I remember my grandmother. She sat in church And all she did was listen to gospel stuff all day. And she wouldn't have known this stuff. Yeah, sad. But Wisdom of Solomon is going to be in something called the Apocrypha. The 14 books that our adversaries took out of the Bible when they took over the church. There you go. And it's going to be 7. Yes, 7, 4. Okay, cool. So we're going to start at 7 and 20. Yeah, let's start at 7:24. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 24. For wisdom is more moving than any motion. She passeth and goeth through all things by reason of her pureness. For she is the breath of the power of God. Wait a minute. Didn't God breathe into Adam? Yes. So what is the breath of God? Let's reread it. Verse 25. For she is the breath of the power of God, and a pure influence flowing from the glory of the Almighty. Therefore, no undefiled thing can fall into her. So God didn't make a clay statue. He took a man and he taught him. He gave him wisdom. He gave him the breath of God. God can teach you literally by giving you the Spirit, the Holy Spirit. You've heard of that, right? That's what that is. That's the breath of God. That's all he gave Adam. He gave Adam the Holy Spirit. That's how he taught it. That's why Adam was made Lord of all the creatures, because God selected him and made him Lord or master of all the creatures. That's what Lord means, master, right? So he made him literally you saw how it said that man was supposed to be the leader of everything, over all the creeping things on the earth and all the swimming things in the ocean. But out of all the men and women on the planet, now you have the head man who's chosen, and that's Adam, right? So now that you know what the breath of the power of God is, I want you to write here for Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 24. I want you to write Genesis 2 and 7. Right? And let me know when you're done with that. And we're going to flip back to Genesis 2 and 7. And we're going to write WOS, or Wisdom of Solomon 7 and 24. And to my camera, I understand that this is painstakingly and meticulously slow, but this is how you build knowledge. To the people who say, I've read the Bible cover to cover, I haven't had a person who says they've read the Bible cover to cover be able to break down anything of substance yet. And that's because they're trying to rush through the Bible just to say they read it instead of reading it to understand it. Right? That's why the Bible says, with all thy getting, get understanding. You don't just read it to read it.
I think back on Genesis,
You're going to do WOS, or Wisdom of Solomon,
Yeah.
7 and 23.
7 and 23, but we're on Genesis.
Genesis 2 and 7.
2 and 7.
These are...
Yeah.
Whenever you have a chance, I want you to read back through Genesis 1 and 2. And I want you to hit each of those precepts that you wrote down. I want you to read it, and I want you to go to that precept and reread that, and then come back to Genesis. So the next time we see each other, you're going to understand the creation account with crystal clarity, and then we can move on.
Because you made a good statement right now. Like, I'm not rushing through it, but for someone who doesn't understand it, to me, I'm just reading words.
Correct.
So, but I am trying to maybe not so much break it down, but I am trying to understand what I am reading.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and here's the thing. Like, so one of the things is you could try as hard as you want, and you can make some progress, but you need a teacher too to show you, because some of the things you're reading, you won't say if you're reading this straight through. How long is it going to take me to read from Genesis all the way to Wisdom of Solomon? Months. So by the time I get to Wisdom of Solomon, I don't even know what's in Genesis anymore. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you have a teacher, they can give you these little points to reference. And then you can go and read them, and now you don't have to read all the way through to get the understanding of that one little thing. And that one little thing is a brick. And if you put enough bricks together, eventually you have a house. And if you have enough houses, eventually you have a town. Eventually you have a city. Eventually, you see what I'm saying? Et cetera, et cetera. And before you know it, this whole book is one big like landscape to you that you understand. Right? And again, this is to my camera. To those who are new, rejoice that this type of information is being made plain unto us, the Israelites. Because once upon a time, our elders, none of them understood this Bible. And there was a large period of silence where nobody understood what was going on. We didn't know what time period we were in. We essentially were just kind of out there, right? Then the Most High God started breathing life into us once again. Because the Hebrew Israelites, we really came back into understanding in the 1960s. There was a man named Abba Bivens, right? And he's considered the father of the modern day Israelites, where he basically made this chart because of the prophecies that are in the Bible, which we will get to. That's in the book of Genesis as well, right? And then we started to get spiritually inspired to look at certain things, read certain books, and then we began to understand, oh, we are the Israelites. This is which tribe is who. This is where they were at. And before we knew it, we had the prophecies that nobody could understand. And none of us are biblical, like collegiate scholars. None of us went to seminary school. I didn't go to be a pastor at seminary school. But yet, you put a pastor in front of me, and I can make them look foolish. Because all I gotta do is go to Genesis 1:1 and show them you don't understand the Bible from the very beginning. Because guess what? God reveals his secrets unto his servants, the prophets. And we are the prophets. That's why we can understand it and they can't. Right?
You know, and I'm sorry for...
Yeah, you're good. No. Any question is good.
A little slow.
Yeah, you're good. No, you're okay. What's up?
WOS?
Yeah, WOS, Wisdom of Solomon.
Yeah, but what was the...
Genesis 2 and 7.
I got that book, what I read for WOS.
Oh, yeah.
It was
It was 7 and 23.
723.
Yeah, you got it. I need to get you a highlighter as well.
Yeah.
Let me see if I got one. Let me see if one's stowed away in my bag. I'll give it to you.
Some of this stuff is starting to make sense now, like the way you're saying it.
Mm-hmm. And that's what happens. Eventually, it stops sounding like just random words in Greek, and you start going, "Oh, okay, I know that, and I know that," and then eventually you're in the conversation.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? That's how it works, man.
Yeah.
And every time that happens, thank the Lord, because all wisdom comes from Him.
Because ever since we had that last conversation with the other guy, remember that was with us?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, y'all stayed on my mind, and I'm like, I want to be in that conversation,
Mm-hmm.
but I have nowhere to start.
Well, here's the thing: you're now starting.
But now, it's starting to get,
Yeah, you're here, man.
yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, bro. Like when you first, like when somebody has a question, you can go. I can break that down for you, and then you lead them through the Bible. You're gonna realize God is dealing with you. That's when you realize God is with you, right? I want to show you something real quick before we go back to Genesis. Are you still in Wisdom of Solomon 7?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Go to verse 28. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 28. For God loveth none, but him that dwelleth with wisdom. So if you're reading this Bible, and we're talking about breaking down different things in the Bible, and you're like, I know that scripture, and you're calling it out, guess what? God loveth none, but him that dwelleth with wisdom. So if he's giving you wisdom, what does God do for you? It means he loves you. Because God don't give wisdom to anybody. He only gives it to his children. And even of the Israelites, most Israelites don't know two things about this Bible. I'm going to be real with you. The people who are the most ignorant of the Bible are our people, more times than not. But when God has woken you up, opened your eyes, opened your ears, and enabled you to get a teacher to get understanding, that means he loves you. Because he's directing your feet to a teacher, he's allowing you to have time to listen, and he's giving you the material in order to learn. He loves you. That's why I told you, man, fight. God loves you. I told you, man.
Yep.
Well, let's go back to Genesis, right? So we're going to read 1 through 3. And then I don't want to overload you. So we're going to read 1 through 3. And then we're going to cut it right there. Right? Because what time is it? So I'm going to make sure you eat tonight and you get somewhere safe before it gets dark. All right? Yeah, it's 8:25. All right, that's perfect. Cool. You came at the perfect time, man. I told you God be working miracles, man. Love it. All right. So, let's go back to Genesis 2 and 7. And we're going to reread it, and it's going to make more sense to you. This is Genesis chapter 2 and verse 7. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden. And there he put the man whom he had formed. Now I want to show you on a map where that is so you understand. Right? Because when you see where Eden is supposed to be, you're going to realize why everybody in the world is fighting over this piece of land. Eden is what you would call the promised land to the Israelites. That's why the people over in Israel today, the people who call themselves Israeli, they're saying that they're Jews, but they're not the real Jews. And they're willing to fight and kill people to stay in that land. And you have other heathen who are trying to fight them to take the land from them. That's the reason, because this is literally the land, or part of the land, that was promised to God's children. Let's see. So essentially, this is Eden. See this? That's Israel right there. Saudi Arabia, because it's from the Nile, part of Egypt, all the way to the Euphrates, which is right here. That's the promised land. And the Euphrates goes all the way down, and it empties out into the Persian Gulf. Right? Part of Saudi Arabia is supposed to be our land as well. Right? So, everybody is all clustered in this area, and they're fighting tooth and nail to take this land, because that's the land that was promised to the children of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's the promised land. It's also the most fertile land on the planet. But God promised while we're not in the land, it'll be desolate. That's why when you go to the Middle East, what's it known for being? A desert. When you go to Israel today, nothing grows over there. You've never gone into a grocery store and saw something from Israel. Have you ever seen an apple or orange or a bell pepper or anything from Israel? No, never. And that's because the land is literally desolate while we're not in it. Right? So let's go back to Genesis. Now that you know where that land is, keep that in mind. Because that's where Adam was planted. See, we've been kicked out of the land many times. Because you got to understand, Adam is the forefather of the Israelites. All the spirits that were to be put into people were already in people at that time. That's why, remember that thing I told you about, regeneration?
Yep.
All the spirits that were meant to be Israelites, as Adam had children, all the way down to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, that's when those spirits start to be born as Israelites. You see what I'm saying? So everybody fell into their respective nation wherever they were supposed to be. Right? Let's go back to Genesis 2. This is Genesis 2 and 8. And the Lord God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And out of the ground made the Lord God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted, and became into 4 heads. What did we just look up? The 4 rivers of Eden. And it showed you how those waterways basically went around and through the land. Basically the borders of the land of Eden, right? Verse 11. The name of the first is Pisgah, that is it, which compasseth the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold, and the gold of that land is good. And there is bdellium and the onyx stone. And the name of the second river is Gihon. The same is it, that compasseth the whole land of Ethiopia. And the name of the land of the third river is Hiddekel. That is it which goeth toward the east of Assyria. and the fourth river is Euphrates. Now, what I would advise you do you have internet access when you have Wi-Fi anywhere? No?
No, long story short, I locked myself out of my phone.
Oh, shit.
I forgot the PIN code. So to top it off, I changed my number. So whenever I try to log into my Google account, it's sending the verification code to my old phone number.
Damn.
So I locked out of myself twice.
Twice.
So I screwed myself. So
Does it, nah, yeah, because you can't even do the recovery because it goes to the Google shit.
Yep.
Damn.
So I can do everything all over again.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whenever you get back into your phone, make sure you look up all these different land masses that are mentioned, and just put whatever the name is, and then put map in the Bible, and then try to search for an image and try to get an idea of what it's talking about. So when it talks about these locations or these rivers, you'll know what it's like, basically where it is today.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Cool. So verse 14, and the name of the third river is Hiddekel. That is it, which goeth toward the east of Assyria. And the fourth is Euphrates. And the Lord God took the man and put him in the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest eat freely, or freely eat. But of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. Now I have a question. These trees that are being spoken of, are these literal trees?
No.
No. Let's prove it. Go with me to Isaiah 51. I'm gonna help you get there. Don't worry about it. Yeah, you good. It's in Isaiah's in the Old Testament, and I'm gonna let me. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I'm gonna help you out real quick. Can you get that? Yeah, that little thing. I think they put it like right in the center of the Bible. There you go. Now we're gonna go back to the beginning of the Bible. That right here. Actually, there you go. So this is gonna be basically your Bible directory or index. Whenever you want to know where something is or what book comes after which book, turn back to here, and that'll help you. But I'm gonna get you to Isaiah. Psalms is long. Ecclesiastes.
Psalms is long, right?
Yes. It's got the most chapters out of any book in the Bible. We're going to Isaiah 51. And I'm gonna write something. Actually, let me do that right now. Hold on 1 second. Let me help you out. In case you need a little helping guide on basically navigating the numbers. if you went to Psalm, Isaiah has. You want to go to Isaiah 45. You have Isaiah 45. What if you wanted to go to 20 or 30? What is that? Exodus 10, 10, 20, 30, 34. So that's 34. Let's say you want to go to 35. Then it becomes 3x plus 5. Yeah, so actually, I got one thing. You're going to notice that this page is being friendly to me. It starts doing that with the X. Yeah, the B is 5, but 4 is only 4 eyes. So as a matter of fact, I'm the worst at it. I hate it when I have my first page bend. It's when these so you see the L is here. You have X, 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 and you have a 1 before another X. So you have so that would be 50. So if it's not, if the X is 10 and the 1 is on the other side, that means it's a 9. So this would be 89. So you're in the book of Psalms, chapter 89. Right? So we're going to put that over here. Because one thing that you're going to practice too is just navigating. So it becomes second nature to you. Reading on the numerals, and it comes to time. I know this is something that some people actually have problems with. I still have problems with, especially when I have to put 100, because most chapters don't have it. Say you want to go to, say let's go to Psalms 6. Yeah, so it's rare. I know it looks different. Your Bible will look like this too, man. Give it some time. Don't worry about it. X or L X N 1, right? tell you, anybody who says like, oh man, I keep all of God's laws and I do it without error, bullshit. As a matter of fact, most of the time, just take them to the Torah. Take them to the first 5 books of the Bible and start reading the law. And say, when you keep this, Passover, when you keep Sabbath, and you'll quickly see the holier than thou, unperfect people, they're worse than most of the people out here just living their life. Don't even know about the Bible. See what I'm saying? That's why I say, just trust the Lord. God knows when you're doing it on purpose. He knows the difference. And trust me, if I do something I know is wrong, I hate it. Like when I called that Edomite an ugly bitch, I got jumped by 3 people. You see what I'm saying? I was out of pocket. But the Most High still protected me. He didn't let me get killed out here. And he let me win the fight. But the thing is, I still had a busted lip. My nails, all my nails were bent back in blood. Because I literally took him by his lapel and I picked him up and I slammed him. So granted, I got to show God made a strong vessel. I'm the one who had to heal up. I still had the busted lip. I'm talking about my whole shit was full. See what I'm saying? So we're gonna go to Psalms 99 real quick. Just make sure it's correct. Yeah, man. Don't ever let your sins weigh you down. As long as I'm not saying you're proud of your sins, certainly not. But don't let them get you to the point where you're just like, man, I can't do anything right. I'll never get it right. Because if you can't get it right, guess what? God will just pull you off this earth. See what I'm saying?
As it is written, you're the wish is righteous.
Yeah. None of us are righteous. Our righteousness are as filthy rags. The Most High God. Yeah.
I heard that.
Yeah, you've been reading. Hey, man, all praise. But before you know it, you're going to precept that all up. And you're going to be able to give a whole lesson on why you should keep the law. See what I'm saying?
It's a minor effect. I'm trying to keep certain forms. I'm just trying to I'm not trying to keep certain verses that's helping me.
Well, so what's going to happen is as you read this Bible, certain verses resonate with you. We all teach this Bible differently, but we all say the same thing. Why? Scripture. It harmonizes with itself. So we all teach the same thing, but we all teach it in a different tone. Like say we're part of a choir. Let's say you're part of a choir. We're playing the same song, but if I look at your music sheet, is it the same as mine? No, because we play different instruments. The Bible. We're all playing the same song, different instruments. I love the book of Isaiah and the book of Jeremiah. I love the Old Testament, but I'm weak in the New Testament. But because I'm weak in the New Testament doesn't mean I don't know what I'm talking about. Because what's the New Testament based off of? The Old Testament. You see what I'm saying? So somebody who's strong in the Old Testament, they can't just come up. They only know the Old Testament. Because in order to know the Old Testament, the New Testament, you got to know the Old, and you got to know the New to understand the whole and where it fits today. So you got to know both. You see what I'm saying? So that one is right, and then we're gonna do 100. 100.
you can on the Riverwalk. I thought we were about to be
So,
on.
well, let's go to the Riverwalk and finish, and then we probably need to follow the river to get there.
Yeah, don't we don't follow the river. Oh, yeah.
This is a selfish action, man. I want my crown. When I say I want to get to the kingdom of heaven, money is, I'm gonna tell you, this is the money in this kingdom. What can you buy that? I can't make sure my brother eats. That means more to me than a car. I know that's not common. Some of our brothers love each other. Make sure when you read this Bible, you understand you're not reading it just to feel yourself up. You're sharpening your own knowledge. The more you learn in this book, the heavier it is. You've heard me say that. And now you're starting to realize as you read it, you start having a weight to it. You're going, now I understand what this means, what that means. You start to figure things out. And as you figure it out, you're going to realize you have a responsibility to God. Both the first and foremost, you have a responsibility to the Most High. Alright? So when people do good in the name of the Lord, let them do it. Because I'm going to tell you, alms covers a multitude of sins. I have a lot of sins to cover. You know what I'm saying? So let me cover a few, you know what I mean? So we wanted to go to Isaiah 51, because we were going to prove trees of righteousness. Alright? So this is Isaiah 48. Here you go. Bible back. Alright, Salaki, y'all. Had a few things that we had to set up in his Bible. That way, when he has it on his own, he can navigate. I recommend anybody who's not used to navigating with Roman numerals, make a little legend on the blank pages at the beginning of your King James 1611 Bible, if you have one. Right? Just write it all out. X equals 10, I equals 1, 40 is, X and then L, etc., etc. Write that out so you understand and test it out so you can navigate on your own. But we're going to go to Isaiah 51 because we read in Genesis about the tree of life. Most people are taught that the tree of life is a literal tree with literal fruit. We're going to demonstrate here that that is not the case. Actually, you know what? Go to 61. Isaiah 61. Slide. And that's going to test you out. And it should be LXI. You got it. Cool. So we're going to go ahead and start at 1. This is Isaiah chapter 61 and verse 1. The Spirit of the Lord God is upon me, because the Lord hath anointed me, the Lord hath anointed me to preach good tidings unto the meek. He had sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound, to proclaim the acceptable year of the Lord, and the day of vengeance of our God, to comfort all that mourn, to appoint unto them that mourn in Zion, to give unto them beauty for ashes, the oil of joy for mourning, the garment of praise for the spirit of heaviness, that they might be called trees of righteousness. This is talking about people, ain't it?
No?
Yes.
Is it? Oh,
That they might be called trees of righteousness.
Oh, yes.
Because this is talking about basically healing and restoring the Israelites.
yes.
Right? So if this is in the hopes that we could become trees of righteousness, then why would the tree of knowledge be a literal tree? It isn't. So, what did Christ say? How you would know somebody? By their actions or their fruit. That's what the fruit, or the fruit of the tree of knowledge is.
Yeah.
It was doctrine of another nation. Because now that you know Adam and Eve aren't the only people on the planet, now you know there are other trees in the garden, or other people in the Garden of Eden.
Yeah.
And they have fruit, and that fruit of those people are their doctrine. So God basically said, hey, look, of all the trees in the garden, have at it. But there's one group of people I don't want you dealing with. I don't want you learning their ways and worshiping their gods. And you're going to find out later why that is. There's a group of people called the Canaanites, and they were engaging in something called child sacrifice. God hates that. And if that's part of their fruit, what would God tell you not to do? Not to eat it. That's how you compress 1,000 years into a single verse in the Bible. You do it through a metaphor. See? Now you're seeing why the pastor in the church can't teach you that. Because he doesn't have the understanding according to the scriptures. This book is sealed or encrypted. Have you ever dealt with like a code or anything in the military? Right? When you have an encrypted code, what do you need? You need the cipher to decrypt the encryption. This is what we're doing right now. We're decrypting the Bible. See? It takes a long time. But once you've got this book decrypted, you can read all the way through it and you can know what's going on. All right? Let's go back to Genesis 2. We're just going to finish that and we'll call it there. And then we'll break into Genesis 3 next time I see you. All right? This is Genesis. Oh, let me know when you're done. I won't start to you.
Okay.
All right. This is Genesis, chapter 2 and verse 15. And the Lord God took the man and put him into the Garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat. Like I said, God said, hey, look, of all these nations in the garden, you good to go. Whatever they got to teach you, not off limits. Go have at it. Yes, sir. What's up, man? So you don't look bruised? What do you mean? Like your eyes? You look like you've been smoking. Bro. You've been smoking?
I'm going home.
Do you have to go home right now?
Right now.
Right now?
Right now. I'm working 1 hour ago.
Okay. I'm gonna tell you. Do you have any water?
I don't. You got bottles to empty.
If y'all can y'all stop somewhere and buy some water? Well, that's all the water you got though. No, you sure? Okay. What I would recommend is before you step in the house, slap yourself really hard, open your eyes up, drink that water so your eyes don't turn red.
Okay.
Yeah, don't hold your eyes like slightly closed because they're gonna red up.
Okay. I appreciate you.
Of course, man, I got you, brother. If y'all Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, I'm out here for y'all too. Y'all the real Israelites of the Bible. All right, you special, brother. Y'all kings. Of course, of course. And stop smoking it, man. Eat the edibles. That's how you appease God. That's why you about to get in trouble, brother. Shit. What do we just read in Genesis 1 and 28? You know what I'm saying? Gotta let them know. Shit. 1 and 29. Yeah, you're supposed to eat that stuff, man. You're supposed to smoke it. But I'm gonna tell you, if he ate it, though, he'd still be in trouble.
Oh, yeah.
But anyway, this is Genesis 2 and 16. And the Lord God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden thou mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat there or eat of it. For in the day that thou eatest thereof, thou shalt surely die. And the Lord God said, it is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an helpmate for him. So Adam was chosen. He was given the wisdom. Who else was given the breath of God so far? No one. Only Adam. This is why it's saying it's not good that Adam be alone with this knowledge. Because can you imagine? Say you're the president of the United States, and it's just you, and you have to run everything. Wouldn't that be overwhelming? You need someone to help you. That's why God was like, look, it's not good for man to be alone. He needs a helpmate, right? Verse 19, and out of the ground. Now, when you see that Y with the apostrophe, that means it's the. It's an old English way of saying the or the, right? So, and out of the ground, the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he would call them. And whatsoever Adam called every living creature, that was the name thereof. And God gave names to all the cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found an helpmate for him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. So, we all come from Adam, all the people on the earth, because you know the flood, right, in Noah. All the people outside of Noah, because Noah is a descendant of Adam, died. Now, the way that we know that woman comes out of man, our genetics show it. We have XY chromosomes, genetic diversity, X and Y chromosomes. Women have genetic monotony, XX chromosomes. So if you have a derivative of something, it's going to be more basic than the original, right? So say like if I take a part of that poster and I rip a chunk off of it, it's still more simplistic than the whole poster. That's essentially what the Most High God did with creating Eve, his wife. That's why the woman, as we see her today, has XX chromosomes and men have XY chromosomes. Now, what all the other people had in that day, I don't know. But here's the thing. They ain't here no more, so it don't matter. See what I'm saying? All right, moving on, and we're almost done. All right? Verse 20. Verse 20. And Adam gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmate for him. And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam. And he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. And the rib which the Lord God had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. And Adam said, this is now bone of my bones, and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman, because she was taken out of man. Therefore shall a man leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be one flesh. And they were both naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. That nakedness is not literal clothes. That nakedness is to represent that they were innocent.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you're clothed with righteousness, as a matter of fact, we read it in Isaiah 61, where it talked about the garments of praise, right? So if we're supposed to be given garments of righteousness and praise, what does that mean? We're supposed to be given the complete law and keep all of it. I want to show you something. We're going to go to 2nd Ezra chapter 2. I'm going to show you where it's at. And that'll be it for the night. And that'll be your last precept to write as well. Trying to get to the table?
Yes, it's here.
Yeah, I'll show you. Yes. I think it should be right in front of Genesis. Actually, like there. Yes, right there. So on the first page of Genesis, that's where it's at.
You talking about second Ezra?
Second Esdras. So you're gonna have, this is the Torah, the first 5 books, and the Tanakh, right? So basically the first 5 books, the Law and the Prophets, and then you have the hidden books called the Apocrypha. They're right there. So right after you have the Tanakh, then you have here where it starts with first and then second Esdras. So the easy way to know this is you turn until you hit Malachi. So yeah, that's first Esdras. Show you. That's Obadiah. You start getting to the end there. So if you get to Malachi right here, the back of Malachi, and then you just turn over a few pages, you see you're in first Esdras, and then you just turn over a little bit more. Now we're in second Esdras, and now we turn back, and now we're in. So now you're in second Esdras. Go with me to verse 43. Right? Should be on the right side. And this is second Esdras, chapter 2 and verse 43. And in the midst of them, there was a young man of a high stature, taller than all the rest. And upon every one of their heads he set crowns, and was more exalted, which I marveled at greatly. So I asked the angel and said, Sir, what are these? He answered and said unto me, These be they that have put off the mortal clothing, and put on the immortal, and have confessed the name of God. And now they are crowned and receive palms. Then said I unto the angel, What young person is it that crowneth them and giveth them palms in their hands? So he answered and said unto me, It is the Son of God, whom they have confessed in the world. Then began I to greatly commend them that stood so stiffly for the name of the Lord. But you see here that they put off the mortal clothing and put on the immortal. The immortal clothing is that righteousness, right? As a matter of fact, go ahead and write Genesis 2 and, hold on, let me grab it real quick. So you are going to write Genesis 2 and 25. Genesis 2 and 25 for verse 45 right there. Yeah, I have to scoot to the light too. And it's going to be Genesis 2 and 25. The Riverwalk is down there, y'all. Yeah, it's down there. I think you go down and then you go to the right. Yes, ma'am. I'm actually about to leave right now, so I'm gonna get up out the area before y'all come back. But no, it's you should go down and to the right and just walk straight, and then y'all run into the area where they do the boats and stuff.
Down.
Yeah. Of course. If y'all are black, y'all are Israelites, and y'all special. Just know that. All right, y'all kings and princesses. All right. Of course, of course. All right, and then in Genesis 2 and 25, you're gonna do second Esdras 2, and are you? For Esdras. Right. So you'll do 2 ESD, 2, and then 40. I'm sorry, 45. ESV, and then it's going to be 2, and I believe it's 45. 2 and 45. These are, and then we're going to do one more to make sure. Garments of righteousness. This one you're going to read on your own. All right, I'm going to give you a little assignment. Actually, no, I just want you to read Isaiah 61. I want you to be reading that book. I want you to just read it. But how about this? What can you actually just read in general? I want you to read the book of Proverbs. Proverbs has general wisdom in it. So does Ecclesiastes. Those are the words of Solomon. Right? Read those two whole books. I'm gonna read them with you. As a matter of fact, we're gonna go over the first 5 chapters of both books. So you can read the whole book, but just read the first 5 chapters of each. We'll go over. Is that building on fire? What's going on? You see is the moon behind it?
the moon behind it.
Okay, I'm about to say like, yo, am I tripping?
Oh yeah. Where you're standing, you do think it's on fire.
Yeah, I was looking. I was like, should we call somebody? But yeah, read Ecclesiastes 1 through 5, and then Proverbs 1 through 5. Those are the books of Solomon. And if you feel extra, inspired, you can go to Wisdom of Solomon, which is also another book, of course, by Solomon. Read the first 5 chapters. We'll go over it, all right? All right, but let's go ahead and punctuate this by saying, Call Halal Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. That means all praises be unto Yahweh in the name of his son Yahweh Shai. Right? Kwam Yasharallah, or Rise Israel. And Abad Babal, destruction of Babylon. Right? Oh, go ahead, y'all. Go ahead.
Sure.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm out here for y'all, man. Blacks, Hispanics, Native Indians. We the real Jews of the Bible. Y'all are kings and princes walking here. Have y'all ever heard that before? Y'all the people in the Bible?
Yeah, I've heard.
Yeah? What tribe you go back to?
That's right.
Are you Mexican?
Yeah,
On your father's side?
yeah.
Y'all go to the tribe of Issachar. Issachar in Hebrew means he who is hired. Who are the hardest working people on the planet? Mexicans, hands down. Ain't even the context, right? But in the Bible it says that y'all were prophesied to be a strong donkey or a burro. Ain't that the animal for Mexico today? Crouching down between 2 burdens. That's literally the picture of the donkey with the 2 satchels on the side. That literally says who you are in the Bible. If you got more time, I'm here every Saturday from 5:30 to about 10 p.m. I let blacks, Hispanics know, and Native Indians that we're the real Israelites. And I also let the white man know he's going into slavery for enslaving our people. All right, y'all? Be safe out here, y'all.
You too. Have a good night.
You too. All right, y'all. We got a little bit more in at the end, but all praise to the Most High God and Shalom. Yeah, buddy.